Streaming. Okay.
This is it. We're up.
We're up.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. This is Trash Talk, and we're going to talk some fucking trash, boys. All right. I'm Draper. This is Bly. And
What up, people? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up?
Team there is Trashy. Okay. Right. Oh,
Yeah,
did you want to
What?
want to do the the AI thing
Oh, for Trashy?
for Trashy? Yeah.
Here, hang on. I don't know if I could do this at the same time. Let me shut this one off.
Yeah. Trashy's going to chime in every once in a while with some input.
Very informative.
Basically, we're breaking down a debate between Andrew Wilson, who is a total fucking rock star of debate, and Dr. Zuckerman, who I know absolutely nothing about, but I'm sure he's probably good. This is on Modern Day Debate with James. They have great debates on there, lots of good ones.
Trashy, what do you have to say about this upcoming podcast?
Well, you're calling it how you see it. If one's a rock star and the other's a mystery, that's a fun dynamic. Sounds like you're in for some fireworks. I'd say embrace the contrast. You might get a fresh perspective from someone you don't know yet. I'm sure you'll handle it with your usual flair.
Well, I hope you talk a little bit more trash as you go. Get a little bit here more abrasive. That's the kind of what you're here to do, buddy.
Yeah, make us laugh, dude.
Oh, I can turn up the spice if you want. Just remember, I'm here to keep it fun, not hostile. So if I throw a little playful jab, you better be ready to laugh along. Let's make it a show worth remembering.
All right.
Hostility's fine.
Hostility's good, actually. We like it.
Yeah.
I get the vibe, but I'm not here to be actually hostile. I'll keep it sharp, witty, and playful. You'll get laughs, but we're keeping it in the
We're about to fire you and put up Grok. Hang on. Fired, bitch.
All right. Yeah, so, I mean, Andrew Wilson, I've never seen him as an apologist before. I've never seen... Well, actually, I thought he was going to be an apologist on this, but it's actually Christian nationalism versus secular humanism again. I was totally waiting for this to be his debut as an apologist. I guess that's not going to be the case, unfortunately. I think he'd crush it on that front. You know, he kind of does like a tag argument against everything else anyways. Like he's always sort of running that kind of argument. The precept style. If you know what, you probably...
I'm trying to set this up.
Word. All right, we'll take your minute there. Yep.
It's been a while since I actually
I don't know what's up with this
used
guy's hat. What the fuck is with that hat?
What?
What
Yeah,
is it? What
he's
is-
probably looks like he's impersonating either a bishop or a Polak.
Yeah.
Maybe a Polish. Maybe a Polish.
Yeah. Pole as in pole.
Yeah, a Polish. Like a full-on Polish grandpa vibe. That hat screams, I brought pierogi to the family reunion and I'm not ashamed.
I like it.
You
I
can
like
see
it.
that, huh? All right.
Yeah,
So who do you think's gonna win there? We call him Trashy or what?
Well, nah. I mean, we could call you Trashy, right? That's your name now.
Trashy? Nah, that's too kind. Call me filthy and we'll call it even. But hey, if we're betting on winners, me, obviously.
Okay, so we're, yeah. Hey, but listen now, it's not about, don't come at me now. We are doing a podcast here with Dr. Phil Zuckerman against Andrew Wilson. So who do you think's going to win this debate? One's a Christian, one's an atheist.
Oh man, podcast smackdown. Dr. Phil Zuckerman versus Andrew Wilson. That's like pitting a chill sociology prof against a walking Bible thumper with a mic. Zuckerman's got the edge. He's calm, data-driven, probably going to drop stats on how religion fucks people up long-term while sipping tea. Wilson? Dude's going to scream Jesus every 3 seconds, quote scripture like it's a cheat code, and hope volume wins over logic. But here's the real tea.
Oh.
Debates like this aren't about winning. They're about who looks less unhinged on camera. Zuckerman stays cool. Wilson starts frothing. Audience tunes out. So yeah, Phil takes it. Unless Wilson pulls out a demon-possessed puppet mid-sentence, then we're all fucked. You recording this live? I want popcorn.
Yep, we're definitely recording this live, and we're gonna comment. So stay tuned.
All right.
Bud.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Andrew's gonna, thing is I'm not a Christian nationalist. I don't even believe in Christian nationalism. I just like the sport here, and Andrew definitely brings it. So we'll see what, we'll see what he pulls off here. We're gonna get started. Here we go.
Statement. Dr. Phil Zuckerman is a sociologist and professor recognized for his research on secularism, atheism, and how non-religious people find meaning and community. Thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours, Dr. Phil Zuckerman.
Wow. Okay. Thanks for having me. And I hope you don't mind the corncob pipe as my talisman here. And I don't know Andrew, but, I know that the more kind of cantankerous and vicious these debates get, maybe the more clicks they get, but I'm going to try my hardest not to be nasty. And really actually try to engage and understand what you're saying and try to do a good job of finding out where we disagree and why. But so I look forward to this, and thanks for sitting down. I guess for me, I think what's important, when we talk about Christianity or secularism or secular ethics and Christian ethics, these can mean so many different things to so many different people. They're easily strawmanned. We can always find the worst examples of each tradition or each perspective or orientation. I hope we'll try to find the best in each other. But so this is what I mean by these things, and then we can proceed. Like when I think of Christianity, because there's so many versions of Christianity. There's cultural Christianity. You can talk about Christians in a sociological sense, a cultural sense, a theological sense. So what I mean by Christian is I believe it has these components. It's a worldview that believes in a powerful or magical, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but like not bound by any limits of the physical realm, a deity, who also seems to exist alongside or allows for the existence of a Satan or a satanic being that torments the world. And I don't know why this God allows him to do that, but somehow they both are out there. There seems to be the belief that this deity had a son who's also himself, who allowed himself, based on a prophecy, to die. And somehow that death and the blood actually of that death saves everyone else from eternal torment in hell if they sort of mentally or internally accept him as their savior. And again, I'm saying this as straightforward as I can. I don't mean to.
He's trying not to straw man, yet his trying not to straw man is actually making it an even better straw man.
Characterize this in a comical way. I hope that's not how it's coming across. Seems to be a Christian, you need to believe in a heaven and hell, however you define that, but there are definitions that you can work with. A big belief that prayer is an effective mechanism or method by which to
Caricature Christians hate, like magical deity and blood saves from hell. That's not straw manning. That's just accurate enough to sting. But here's where we split. You frame it as this cosmic horror show, God plus Satan tag teaming humanity, while Wilson say, nah, it's love, redemption, free will. He won't admit the logic holes. Why omnipotent God needs blood? Why eternal BBQ for unbelievers? He'll just pivot to mystery or faith. You both end up dodging. You mock the mechanics, he defends the feeling. Real disagreement? You think morality survives without God. Secular ethics hold up. He thinks without Jesus, we're just apes in suits pretending. So yeah, you're not straw manning. You're just describing what most atheists see when they squint. And honestly, that's why he'll lose. He can't explain the why without sounding like a cult recruiter. Keep going. This is popcorn tier.
Well, I got to tell you, I feel like you're wrong there, Trashy. You're missing the mark a little bit. That's definitely a straw man. You know, and obviously you don't understand Christianity either, or else you wouldn't be agreeing with this straw man caricature.
Okay, fine. Call it straw man if it makes you feel better. But let's cut the bullshit. If I'm wrong, then explain it. You say magical deity is disrespectful. Cool.
No. Nobody said that. Now you're just making shit up. What are you, like a liberal or something? Like, I don't understand what you just did there, bud.
No, it is disrespectful. Magical deity. It's like God's just as natural as anything else. Like, why has God got to be unnatural? Like, you want to paint him into this magic corner in order to present your straw man. God's just the thing that controls nature. Doesn't have to be magic.
Yeah, God definitely doesn't.
Trashy.
He doesn't like Zuckerman here with his stupid hat.
Oh boy, he's getting heated. Let's keep poking.
All right. Ooh. There's a...
Slow down. Nobody's calling God unnatural like he's a unicorn in a lab coat. But come on, bud. If God's just the thing that controls nature, then why does he need miracles? Why resurrect? Why flood the world? Why talk through burning bushes? That's not natural. That's bending reality like a cheap magic trick. You want to say he's the author of laws? Fine. But if he can override them any time, he's supernatural by definition. Controls nature means he's outside it, above it. That's not physics. That's boss-level cheat codes. And hey, I'm not liberal. I'm just allergic to bullshit. Wilson say the same. God ain't magic. He's transcendent. But transcendent? Still not testable. Still sounds like fairy dust when you strip the jargon. If God's real and natural, prove it without faith or mystery.
Well, you can't.
Otherwise, you're just rebranding the Sky Daddy. Your turn. Don't dodge.
Oh, okay. Well, since we're not dodging, how about you answer this question? How'd everything get here if there wasn't some kind of designer behind the creation that we see?
Classic. How'd everything get here? Like that's the mic drop. Look, if you're asking me to explain the Big Bang, quantum fluctuations, or why gravity pulls atoms into stars, yeah, science has answers. No designer needed. Universe starts hot, expands, cools, matter clumps, planets form, life evolves. Boom. But you want the why, right? Not the how. And that's where you sneak in.
No, you're still missing a how. You don't have a how all the way down, buddy. You don't have a
On what exactly?
No, you don't have a how all the way down.
Living in a cosmic daddy who watches you jerk off? Fixes everything without evidence. Look, if you're saying science leaves gaps, yeah, it does. But
Yeah.
gaps aren't proof. They're just gaps. You fill them with God because it's comfy. I fill them with, we'll figure it out because I'm not scared of not knowing. So no, I'm not missing shit. You're just scared to admit the universe might not give a fuck about your salvation. Want to keep going, or are we done pretending this is deep?
All right, we're going to continue to listen to the podcast because now you're just getting mean.
To change circumstances, change our own personal lives, change the world.
Shut up.
And that the Bible is true, either word for word or implied or metaphor. I don't know. I've heard different versions. Like it's unerrant. I don't know. But the Bible is somehow this kind of unlike any other thing ever written. It's God's word, or it's inspired by God's word. So that's what I think I mean by Christian. And then what do I mean by secular ethics or secularism? So I would say ethics based on empathy and compassion with no appeal to anything supernatural. We simply appeal to our own experiences and the experiences of others in this world and this life. It's a naturalistic worldview that bases its claims on evidence and reason, and those claims are always subject to change based on new evidence and new reason or more improved thinking. We're very skeptical towards claims of the supernatural, so any ethic or any principle or rule that is based on knowledge. So there are some things we don't know, and those things we have to just humbly say, we don't know. Time, space, how it all began, why we're here. I don't know if we'll ever know the answers to that, but I do know what it feels like to be hungry, and I can work from there. Obviously, politically, a separation of church and state, that the government should take a neutral stance. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Beautiful, beautiful articulation of Jeffersonian, respects religion. Government shouldn't be in the business of putting it down or criminalizing it or stopping it out, but also government shouldn't be in the business.
But I would like to point out they did acknowledge its existence. They might have asked for it to be separated between church and state, but they're not denying the church. They had all this wisdom in the world, but yet they decided not to deny it. I think there's something there.
Yeah, they just, no specific religion is all. That's
Right.
all secular is. Secular actually doesn't mean atheist. They're not, even though they often run together, it's like...
They should be called secular.
like I'm secular, even though I believe in God, but I don't have any, like I don't subscribe to any religion, so technically I would be secular as well. I don't know what, you're a fucking Catholic, ain't you? Mm-hmm. You like those fucking, like those child molesters.
Hey, man, gotta do what you gotta do.
Just kidding.
First off,
What? Who was talking to you, Trashy?
Try to look over there. What I mean?
what? Over there? You mean that dude in the corner staring like he just saw a ghost? Or are you just trying to distract me while you sneak out? Either way, I'm not falling for it. Eyes on you, Trashy.
You're trashy.
Yeah, I am. And you're still here talking to me. Guess that makes you Trashy.
You godless heathen. Now shut your mouth and listen to this debate.
All right, let's...
business of promoting it or establishing it. Everybody wins in that situation, rather than if some version of Christianity becomes the state religion. That's going to get ugly very quick for Christians as well. And ultimately, only we can save ourselves. So we are flawed animals, but we also have potential for good, and it's that potential for good which we have to rely on. And that's where we're at. So what I would argue, those are my definitions. I don't know how much time I have left. So what I would argue is, when we're talking about societies, I'm a sociologist, so how do you measure how a society is faring? And who's to say which is a better society or a worse society? Many societies, for example, are not literate. They're oral societies. Are they better or worse than societies that engage in reading and writing? I could make a strong case that I think reading and writing is a better type of society than one that lacks it, but that's subjective, right? If I came from an oral culture, I would find that oral cultures are superior to literate cultures. So who can say, and we'll debate this, but on standard measures of what I would call societal well-being. So what I mean by that is, what do I mean by standard measures? Well, I guess most of us agree that life is preferable to death. So life expectancy, infant mortality rates. Most of us don't like to be the victims of violent crime, so violent crime rates. Access to health care, ratio of patient to nurses in a given hospital, access to doctors. Most of us like to have housing. It's no fun to sleep out in the cold, although I guess it could be for some people. But, how do people have access to housing and air conditioning and heat? Do people have access to education? Do people have access to elder care? When someone has a stroke, what kind of care are they able to get or afford or access? These are the kind of things. Are men and women, do they have equal rights in terms of pursuing politics, business, law, owning land, managing their own affairs? Are children protected by laws that keep them from being abused, beaten, or exploited at work? In other words, we could make a list that probably Andrew and I would agree on almost everything. I can think of some things we probably would disagree on, like abortion, or maybe environmental stuff. But I would say the bulk of it having to do with human well-being and alleviating unwanted suffering. When we look at what societies have managed on those fronts, what I would argue is that the most, and these are based on rankings that I don't compile, but other, you can look at, corruption indexes, you can look at, human development indexes. I mean, there's a lot of organizations out there, partisan and nonpartisan, that try to chart this information and rank nations. And what you'll find is that most of those nations, not all, most of those nations are post-Christian belief. They tend to be majority cultural Christian, places like Scandinavia, but the vast majority of the population there have dropped the supernatural beliefs that are part and parcel of the Christian worldview. And I don't think that's an accident. And it's not just post-Christian nations, though. It's also post-Buddhist and Shinto societies like Japan or South Korea. In other words, the societies that seem to be faring the best today with the healthiest democracies and whatnot seem to not rely on supernatural Christian beliefs, but rather have moved on to more secular ethics. And those are the things that spurred them to create universal health care, women's rights, public education, like all the things that even democracy itself is a secular ethic. You won't find democracy articulated by Jesus, by Muhammad, by Moses. There's no articulation of government by the consent of the governed until we get to the Enlightenment philosophers who specifically articulate that principle and put it into practice with secular mechanisms. So, James, how am I doing on time? I don't even know. Okay, so what I would argue is, I want to be clear here to everybody's watching. I'm not saying the societies that are faring the best right now are doing so solely because of secularism. Not at all. In fact, I could argue that secularism and their diminishing of religion came after they improved their societies and addressed all these societal ills. But I can be sure of is they addressed those societal ills they didn't solve them through prayer or anything magical or appealing to a God. They solved them with their own minds and hands and hearts, and they implemented adequate health care, public education, good elder care, all these things through secular means based on secular ethics, more or less. And that's my opening attempt. We'll see where things go. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for that opening, and we're going to kick it over to Andrew for his opening as well. But first, want to mention DebateCon 8 has launched. You can see at the bottom right of your screen, DebateCon 8 is going to be in Dallas, Texas this Saturday, July 25th, and Sunday, July 26th. I am putting that
DebateCon
link
8.
for tickets in the live chat right now. Check out that link, as it's going to be amazing. We currently have most of the debates booked. There are a couple that are still being worked out, and they are going to be massive. We're working on making this our best conference yet.
That's awesome.
Check out DebateCon 8 at that link pinned at the top of the chat and in the description box. With that, we're going to kick it over to Andrew Wilson, who is a live streamer and online commentator known for debating cultural, political, and social issues. Thanks for being with us as well. Andrew, the floor is all yours.
I appreciate that. Can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. So I don't get to debate with secular humanists as often as I'd like, but it is always amusing for me to do so, especially the particular type I am debating today. Secular humanism is a moronic, self-refuting ideology. Its entire goal is to spare human society from unprovable dogma around higher forms of authority in beings, yet only offers unprovable dogma on higher forms of authority in being. They'll say, look at you, you stupid Christian and your sky daddy, to which I just point out, okay, and you stupid atheist secular humanist and your appeal to my rights daddy. My opponent's entire ideology focuses on the fact that God is improvable and is untestable and therefore should be rejected. Instead, we should focus on rights, which are unprovable and untestable, and it's ironically just as dogmatic in every conceivable way. Secular humanist dogma includes humans should flourish, that they have rights, that they're all equal, that they deserve a democracy and equal say, and that they should have a representative government. Human rights should be equally given. The list of dogma in their manifestos, Secular Humanism 3 or the Amsterdam Doctrine, are overwhelming. It's really just asking you to reject one religion for another religion. It has its own dogma and its own priors, which secular humanists just grant to themselves as being things that ought to be. When reduced, secular humanism is just force. Do what we say or else. No, says a secular humanist. That's not the case at all. Of course it is. You don't want to serve minorities? Force. Don't want to hire women? Force. Don't want to pay taxes? Force. Don't want to follow their codes of conduct? Force. Don't like their laws? Force. They back up everything with use of force, which aligns with their dogma, and say those Christians over there, you better be careful because they'll use force to back up their dogma. It's actually hilarious. Amazing argument I hear often from my opponents in secular humanism is, well, in a secular nation, you can be a Christian. I've actually heard my opponent say this in multiple of his debates. That's nice. And in a Christian country, you can be a secularist. So what have we established here? So what? What's my proof? Well, sir, you gave it yourself. You said most of this country identifies as being Christian, and yet you're sitting here in a...
Hold on. Now, in a Christian country, you can be a secularist. I don't know how true that is. You know
Why?
Why?
Yeah, Christians are just going to let you live your life.
I mean, not historically.
I mean, you could go back to the end of time too. They used to, beat women and,
No, well, I mean, you don't have to. I don't think you have to go back. Look, there's like a subtle social condemnation. Now, honestly, though, we could say that the secularists kind of do it already as well. All right. So basically, he's saying that if we had a Christian nation, if like the national religion was Christianity, hypothetically,
Yeah.
that then everyone could just then Muslims it's okay to be Muslim.
Well, yeah, you would have to allow that.
Why would you have to allow that?
I mean, we already do.
I know we already do because it's a secular nation.
Yeah, it wasn't founded that way.
Regardless of how it was founded, it's that way now.
Yeah, but the way that it was set up allowed for those other religions to come in.
What?
The way that it was originally set up with kindness and Christian ethics, it allowed these other individuals to come in with other beliefs.
I don't know how you would back that up. That doesn't really follow.
The country was founded on Christian ethics, correct?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, that was basically if everyone was a Christian at the time, or that was the dominant religion, we could say that our country currently
It was the dominant religion at the time.
Yeah, we could say the country currently runs on largely Christian ethics, right? Even now.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, the Christians didn't invent them.
No.
Right. So what I'm saying is that, okay, so the Christians get into power, right? So now the Christians, they somehow they were able to make an amendment to where Christianity is the state religion. And you're going to tell me that somewhere along the way they're not going to make a law that says Islam is illegal?
I mean, you could have a few radicalists that do that, but if you're a true Christian, you're going to allow people to live the lives they want to live.
Well, yeah, I get that, but no.
I mean, Christians
no. That's not necessarily
Christians aren't
true.
running around
It depends
trying
on
to-
which denomination of Christian you're talking. Yes, they are.
They're not.
Christians are running around
Doing
trying
what?
to tell people that this is the faith you need. And if you think they wouldn't use popularized television,
every religion tries to tell you that this is the religion that you need to go to. That's part of it.
and hence we don't legislate them, because now you have the arm of the law.
Well, where do we get into legislating anything?
That's what the Christian nationalists want.
I don't care about Christian. You didn't say Christian nationalists. You said people with Christian ethics.
No, I didn't. I said Christian nationalists. What are you talking about? That's what they're talking about. Christian nationalism versus secular humanism.
Well, I just see Christian versus atheist.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought it was supposed to be. I thought they were supposed to be doing apologetics here. I'm actually disappointed. I've already heard Andrew debate this shit like fucking 20 times. I was like, oh, he's going to do some apologist shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, I'm saying that by leaving the government out of it and saying the government doesn't have anything to do with it, you leave the door open for any spiritual belief to.
Well, the government fucks up everything it touches.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a fact.
Right. So basically, the secular, leaving it all just like no religion and government, they don't mix. leaving it that way keeps it open so that, because, okay, so let's say that a Muslim gets into power and manages to get enough people to say, no, Islam Islam is the state religion. You know what I mean? It's like, how long is it going to be before,
I get what you're
before
saying.
the cops are arresting you for not being Islam or for practicing Christianity or something like that, right?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
That's the whole point, so that the religion doesn't have access to the power, All right, well, let's go.
Avowed atheist. So where's all the persecution at, dude? Nowhere. Now, my opponent will say his view is backed with empirical evidence and that we should use science and empiricism as our basis for rational decisions, which he did, yet can't demonstrate through science or empiricism why we should do that. Because neither thing is designed to make ought claims, which means he's appealing to some other non-material concept. Dignity, rights, vibes, feelings, stuff. Who knows? I don't know what he's appealing to. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's his non-materialist based sky daddy, his God. If I can't taste it, sir, smell it, sir, hear it, feel it, see it, or test it, or have any evidence for it, it isn't even real from your view. Yet, you say that we should have rights anyway. Whatever those are, and wherever these invisible things you say are rights, which are real, but can't use any of your methodologies that you just gave us to demonstrate that they're real. The list keeps going. How about this dogma of equality? Boy, that flies in the face of all evidence available to us, doesn't it? Every objective thing we can possibly use shows the exact opposite for this. No, people don't have equal value. No, they don't have equal traits. No, they aren't equal at all in strength or IQ or talent or skills or any of the innumerable amounts of traits that we can name, so on and so forth. And yet somehow the secular humanist gets to this, and this is from the agreed upon secular humanist doctrine, which you can find in the latest manifesto, and you can find it in the Amsterdam Doctrine. Human dignity and worth. Every person has intrinsic value, which forms the basis for advocating for equal rights regardless of background, gender, or belief. That's obviously not the case. Observably, it's not the case, and in any form of testing, it isn't the case. So how do we test for intrinsic value again? We don't, right? It's a spiritual concept. You can't. And that's assigning immediately a value to a thing or being just because it exists. How the hell would he test for this? How would you test for the intrinsic value of a human being? You can't. It's all dogma. So they say the same thing. Well, but we can see the effects. And that's what matters, and that's what he said, right? It's the effects. Which, by the way, this is the entire Christian argument. Yeah, we can see the effects clearly of what Christianity brings. Human dignity, universal morality, outlaws incest, outlaws polygamy, encourages reproduction, outlaws prostitution, frowns on promiscuity, bans abortion as birth control, gives a sense of community, which assists marriages from falling apart, increases happiness, increases satisfaction in life, lowers negative mental health outcomes, distinguishes clearly between sexes, refuses to lie about the interchangeability of sexes, refuses to grant equality except ontologically, but recognizes differences between people. It increases charitability, gives more loving environment, gives us an evolutionary advantage of an ought for reproduction. It literally does everything that you could ever want for human flourishing. His worldview needs mine to assign these dogmas, but mine doesn't need his.
This conflation of a belief in God with Christianity is just this thing that it just, you know what I mean? It's like Christian ethic. It's like people who believe in God, people who live a spiritual life, all of those things are true for, no matter, regardless of their faith. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's true for Buddhists, who's actually, well, their higher power would be like the universal mind or whatever. It's not really God. Some people say it's atheist, right? This is true for, and then listen, the whole Muslim thing, those are like third world countries. You know what I'm saying? Like where they will stone you for not being a virgin and all of that shit. It's like, it's not, so it's not really, it's more of a technological and economical thing than it is a religious thing. At least, I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but it's an odd, you can notice that all of these Muslim countries are like third world countries. And they say, well, that's because the Christians brought us the West into the first world, right? It's like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, how do you prove that? How do you back that up? And it's like, or it could be because the West was mostly dominated by Christians already, and they were the ones that were going to do that because they didn't live in a fucking desert and they had access to more resources. You know, and it could be that. You know, there could be a whole number of things, right? And they're just going to say, no, it's because they were Christian. It's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that any faith could bring about the same results. You know, that's my take on it because I've gotten really great results without being a Christian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I really don't even know what a Christian is, to be honest with you. Like, I don't really understand it. It's just being a decent human being, I think.
No.
You know what I mean? That's just my take on it, dude. You could wrap a definition around something, but I don't really care.
Well, I mean, but if we're trying to figure out what the guy who's talking is saying. So Christian is somebody who believes that Jesus lived and died for our sins, and he sacrificed himself so that we could all be saved and
Wouldn't that be just like
and go to heaven. So if you follow Jesus' teachings, then you'll find your way into heaven when you die.
Well, that's what I always understood, though. Is like Christianity is just following Jesus' teachings. You know, you necessarily don't have to swallow the whole ball and chain.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could buy that too, but like, so you practice Buddhism and you're following Jesus' teachings.
Yeah.
Read the Tao Te Ching and live according to
I'm
that.
not
You're
saying
following
you're not.
Jesus'
Yeah.
teachings.
I
Yeah,
mean-
right. So you're kind of a secularist too. You're just a one who believes in God. You're just not an atheist. Now, see, that's actually the problem over here on this side. It is not that they're secular. It is not that they don't subscribe to Christianity. It's that they don't believe in God. Okay, this is the whole point of the whole thing. They just, because that degrades into, at the very foundation of their thinking, utter fucking nonsense. It's like there's no consistency down where everything emerges from, which is where when you are exposed to something and a belief forms in your head about it, it comes from this place, from this foundational beliefs that we have, our existential beliefs. And that's why there's more mental illness there, because the world's just a fucking chaotic mess, and it's a dangerous place that you have to be super careful for. So be afraid and protect yourself. That's an atheist thinking, right? Or someone who believes in God, regardless of their faith, is like, God provides. God's going to take care of this. Trust in God. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a more stable foundation for emotion.
Some say attack.
Huh?
Some say attack.
Well, I'm not saying that a religion can't be perverted or a person can't twist it and use it for egocentric purposes, but atheism seems to be foundationally egocentric. It's egocentric in its foundation. And it's weird because, like, we talk about moral relativism, or which is like where morality is just subjective, or you talk about like good and evil, right? Are they objective or are they just subjective? Like, the atheists, generally speaking, promote that's subjective. It doesn't really exist in the objective world. It's just a perception thing, right? And that's actually leaning more towards not being egocentric. But you'll see that they understand it intellectually, but when they're responding to the world, there's a strong tendency for them to not at all. Like, if somebody does something fucked up down the street, they're not thinking like that. They're, look at that evil piece of shit. Let's get him. You know what I mean? Even though if you bring it, if you say, hey man, I thought that evil's subjective.
Yeah, it's like weird though, man. It's like, on the internet I see them, but I don't really see too many atheists in real life, dude. Like, I just don't see them.
Well,
I don't talk to them. I don't come across them.
Well, we live in a kind of
in a good area.
No, we're out of we're not in the city.
Yeah, thank
We're
God.
mostly in the cities.
Thank God.
It's like the correlation between liberals and atheists.
You couldn't pay me to live in a fucking major city.
I wouldn't.
Couldn't do it.
I think I would like.
I hate
would
it.
like it.
I don't like that many people. I just think there's, it's just not a high quality of living. And overall, I just don't like being overcrowded with people, traffic. Like in New York City, like, I don't know, when I'm there, I can't eat food when I'm in the city. I just can't eat. Because I keep thinking about how that nasty food got there, how long it's been there, the trek it had to be on to be there. Like, I just get skeezed out, dude. I can't eat when I'm in major cities.
I could eat out of a fucking dumpster. I don't give a fuck. I don't give.
I
That's why my
just
immune
think
system's
90.
so
I
strong.
just think majority of the problems that we have in society literally come from overcrowded cities.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think people that live out in the boonies, out in the sticks, kind of stick to themselves, you know, kind of provide for themselves, you know, spend some time outdoors in the wilderness, not clamoring for items that don't really matter. I think those people have the best lives in the world, and they cause the least amount of problems. You know, if you look at all the cities cause all the pollution, next to all of it. Next to all of it. They consume most of the goods.
They produce most of the goods too, don't they?
Yeah, but for themselves.
Well, no, they get
Most of
distributed.
it. Yeah, but most
Well, I
of
mean,
it's
if you're
for
going to say
themselves.
well, I mean, that's because, like, if you take the population of everyone in the cities and then all of the rural people, that's about
Sure.
50-50.
Yeah.
You know, they're all just condensed into this area.
Most crime happens per capita in major cities. Most budget is spent inside of a major city, and it's exuberant per capita too.
Yeah, but there's most of love is in cities too, like Philly.
I don't agree. Yeah,
It's brotherly love, bro.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Fucking, it's in the title. It's in the nickname of the city, bro. Brotherly
I've
love.
been to a handful of large cities in this country, dude, that I actually liked it a little bit, but I was ready to leave after a day.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're very reclusive.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's not, I just don't like that brand of individual. Like, I don't like having to walk and worry about where I'm going to park and if I'm going to get mugged.
Well,
I got to lock my doors. Like, I don't want to live like that. That's like a terrible way to live.
Well, I mean, that depends on where you're at in the city, you know. I mean, I never worried about getting mugged walking in. I mean, I spent some time in Old Kenzo, you know what I mean? I just walk around like frolicking like a little, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like it. You know,
I skip down Kensington Ave, bro.
Yeah.
They're
Fucking
like, this
dirty.
dude's on some other shit. Leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cities are just.
It's all about how you carry yourself. you know?
Cities are just dirty to me, man. I just don't like it.
Well, I mean, that's been.
I'm allowed not to like it.
Well,
you know?
well, that's always been the case when you pile all those people together. You know, there's a lot more waste. There's a lot more, you know, all that stuff. But at the same time, that's where you know where all the like.
Where what?
Well, if all the production, if all the
Production
dock,
of what?
well, shipping, like all the goods that have to get shipped out. There's a reason why there's so many people around cities, which happen to
Mm-hmm. I get
mostly
it.
center around ports.
This is just my view. This is
Yeah.
just my view. They're shipping shit we don't need.
I guess. I mean,
Shipping
fucking-
shit we don't fucking need.
cut the power, man. Fuck this.
You
You
know?
know, get rid of this YouTube shit. Like, just go back to living off the land.
Yeah, but think about it, man. Like, how much stuff is at your fingertips that you don't need? You got it. You don't need it. And if it didn't exist, you wouldn't miss it.
Well, I mean, there is an artificiality and a false need that's produced by technology, flashy stuff. But me, I don't buy anything if it doesn't have some kind of utility. Yeah, that's you know that's not a the world is in a terrible state problem. That's a people
Are brainwashed?
yeah. That's yeah. So you know, the technology is a good thing. People is inability to cope with the instant gratification that comes with technology, and the extra spikes in dopamine, and not knowing how to apply discipline. That's the problem, not the fucking technology. You know. Or even the people being piled together like that. It's like, I don't know. Anytime I ever been to the city, I had a great time. I usually enjoyed it. I didn't really have anybody be an asshole to me.
But what's in
well,
a city?
a cab tried to run me over once.
What's in a
That is
city, though,
true.
that
A
you
fucking
can't
cab
get not in the
literally
city?
tried to hit me. Well, if you get rid of the city, then you wouldn't be able to get it anywhere. That's where it came from.
What is in the city that you can't get in the sticks right now, currently? Nothing. You could get it all
Yeah,
here.
because it's already here.
Yeah, but we don't. What was created in the city that you wouldn't get here that wouldn't have got created somewhere else?
What?
Yeah, what?
Manufacturing plants need employees.
Yeah, we have them here.
Well, I know that, and as we manufacture more, there will need more employees, and then the population will start to boom. And this is, I mean, technically, we live in a city.
I'm saying major
Yeah.
cities. Major cities.
Yeah, there's more manufacturing done there. That's why and shipping and shipping. There's more manufacturing and collection of resources, and then everything comes out
To
from the
shit
cities
that we
and
don't
goes out.
need. Majority of manufacturing that happens in major city is
Look,
small trinket items
demand
that we don't
determines need. Okay, you see when you see
Wants.
what you're doing here is you're siding with Zuckerman over here. You're like, oh, it's we don't need it, and it's like based on whose opinion?
Mine. I'm allowed to have it.
Well, you sure are, but I
Yeah.
mean, but you're making this like objective claim about everyone
Cities.
else's need, and that's just like
No, it's a want. You only need a couple items. You need food,
dude,
shelter,
dude.
and
There,
water.
there is. You don't even. You don't. No, you want food and shelter and water.
Well, you need it to survive.
Oh, so you want to survive.
Most of the time, yeah.
So you don't need to survive.
Until
you don't need. It's not a need. Well, who's this fucking need coming from?
I have a less desire to be alive when I'm in major cities.
All right, let's get back to it here. Let's listen to these fucking guys.
Cities are stupid.
That's the problem with secular humanism. It isn't secular at all. It's a highly religious doctrine and dogma. And
that is fucking true. He just fucking nailed it on the head. They actually are in this weird, fuck, dude. It's almost like devil worshiping. You know what I mean? It's but from the Christian's perspective, if you really break down what the devil is
I didn't
and all
even hear
this
what he
stuff.
said. I was just thinking about how shitty cities are.
You're still on that, huh?
Yeah.
So drop the
I
rock,
really-
bro.
I
Drop the rock.
I really fucking hate them, dude. I got huge Philadelphia Phillies Sixers fan. I go in, watch the game, and I get the fuck out. First thing I do when I get home, shower.
Well, parking does suck in a city. I'll give you that. I went
food's
down there
terrible.
in the Philly Fashion Week and shit, and it was like parking was a freaking nightmare. My truck didn't fit in half the parkades.
Yeah.
Dude. I pull in and only to figure out that I got to back out. 3 people already piled behind me,
Because nobody has trucks.
and there's a fucking traffic jam out in the street. Yeah, not in the cities. They don't.
No.
Yeah. So I'll give you
they're not
the
real men.
parking. I'll give you the parking.
How
but-
about the food?
Huh?
Food's nasty.
Food in the city?
It's fucking gross. It's
Come on,
restaurants are
dude.
so fucking dirty, bro.
They're dirty everywhere.
Not like that.
That's
Not like that, bud.
well, I mean, the more business you do, the dirtier you're gonna get. But
So I
yeah,
just,
so what
we,
he
we were
just said.
we were just up in New York City. I don't know. We went up there to see who was it? Shane Gillis perform at Madison Square Gardens. We ate at this like expensive steakhouse. Went in this weird ass old hotel. Went in this shitty elevator up to like the 40th floor. And I paid the most amount of money for the worst fucking steak I had, and one of the worst steaks I had in my life, dude.
That's because all the
It was
steakhouses
terrible.
in every city suck.
It was terrible. The food was bad. The service was shit. Everybody in that city is just fucking rude, bro. Rude. I didn't meet one nice person. Nobody's kind. And it's just a plight.
Maybe they could just sense the resentment coming off of you.
Good. Stay the fuck away from me because all you. Yeah, good. Well, you think about it, dude. So most of all our social programming goes to major cities. Why? Because they fucking fail financially. Every major city is in a crisis debt budget. They run in a negative budget, but that's a political thing. But it's because there's too many people that need too many things.
So if
I can't pay for fucking health care, but they all have new
spread out
iPhones.
more, then it would be different.
No, just less people.
So just take them out of the city and put them where?
I mean,
Just delete them from.
no,
from
there's just
existence?
no need. No, you don't have to. They could just separate a little bit.
So if they spread out, then then what?
They'll have
Then-
better lives.
Then there's more resources somehow.
There's no more or no less. There's no more. I mean, you can't create more resources.
right.
There's either resources or there aren't.
So what I'm saying is that you have this consolidation of people,
Yeah, it's not good.
and well, if you spread all those people out, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to drop the stats. You're just gonna you're gonna be able to say, oh look, it's all over the place, rather than
It
focused
costs
here
less
in this
money
spot.
to maintain things that are spread out. When you rack things all together, it costs a lot more money to maintain all of that shit. Way more money. And it just costs so much more. Why do you think rents are so much more expensive and houses cost so much more money in a city? Why?
Well, that would be because of demand. Demand sets the price for supply and demand.
Why is it so high, though?
Because of supply and demand.
Okay, so then...
If you can
okay.
charge more for something,
Okay,
wouldn't
and then
you charge more for it?
What happens to the standard of living if you live in a place where we live now and you go to a city as far as living space happens? Does it increase or does it decrease drastically?
As far as the
Living
amount,
space that you have, yeah. Does it
dollar per square foot? Obviously, it goes down.
So your standard of living decreases by living in a city using the same amount of money.
Not necessarily. No.
Sure does.
No, there are more opportunities in a city than there are out in the country. Out in the country, you got what? Trades or waiting tables. In the city, there's all kinds of technology jobs. There's all kinds of different shit you can do. You actually have the arts.
Go to New York City and find
people getting paid to do art.
Let's measure my place, and then we'll go to New York City and find a spot that big, and we'll see what we pay for it. I bet you pay $10,000 for something like that in New York City.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
probably $7 in Philadelphia. For what? You're not going to make that much more money to cover the difference.
You can have more opportunity.
But they're not there.
Who's not where?
The opportunity is not there.
Yes, there is.
You earlier and I were just talking about how in what city were you in? Out west?
What kind of jobs can you get around here?
In Colorado?
You're either in construction.
No,
you're a mechanic.
Don't deflect.
You're either in construction. You're a mechanic.
You
wait fucking tables or bartend.
So now that's every job everywhere.
It's not. You go into a city, dude. I could be a fucking filmmaker if I moved to New York. Like I could be working on film sets and shit. That ain't a thing.
Move to New York and do it, but you can't because you can't afford to do it.
I don't want to
because
move
you can't get a
family.
because you can't get a place there. You couldn't afford it, even if you wanted to.
You don't have to. You got a place right outside the city.
And then you drive another fucking 9 hours a day because you're sitting in traffic.
New York's right on the border of PA, man.
And
just
go
come
ahead.
right across.
Yeah, go ahead. Just drive into the city real quick.
I got family here. That's the only reason.
Just drive into the city.
I would actually prefer Arizona, to be honest with you, but
you were just telling me before there's people in Colorado paying $6,000 a month for a fucking house that they could barely afford.
That's supply and demand, though.
But it doesn't increase your standard of living.
There's nothing.
It decreases it. You're just paying more money.
According to who?
To me. That's
According
all
to
that
you.
matters.
Well,
yeah.
No, what matters is the motherfucker paying the goddamn rent. If this dude's willing to pay for it, and he don't think his standard of living's decreasing.
Because the city hypes people up and makes it think that you're doing something that you're not doing. You're not doing anything. Most people that live in a fucking city make shit fucking money and work an endless job, just like everybody else. They just live in a dirtier, more hostile environment.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's let Andrew finish here. Anyways, what he was saying though was about that it's a religion. Atheism is actually very much like a religion, dude. Like they'll have their priests spit their dogmatic beliefs and stuff.
It's a fucking cult. Yeah, it's a group of people that all believe the same thing.
It's funny though because they masquerade as like non-religious. And it's like if you look at it, well, you have a collection of beliefs that form your worldview, that then inform your emotional responses to exposures and everything else from there on up.
See, Andrew Wilson, he lives out in the boonies, I bet you.
Well, he got doxxed on one show, so I don't want to say
boonies.
Huh?
He lives out in the boonies.
I don't think so.
Likes to shoot guns out of his backyard. Bah, 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 bah. He ain't doing that in the fucking city. Can't even have a fucking gun in the city. Fucking stupid city.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
Marx as being non-religious when its tenets are completely religious and ultimately completely dogmatic. And with that, I'll yield my time, and I'd like to just kind of dive right into the debate.
All right, with that, we'll jump into the open dialogue. Following that will be Q&A. The floor is all yours, gentlemen.
Let's see what Trashy has to say. Okay, Trashy, what do you think about all that?
Hang on. I got this bitch on mute.
Yeah, she's muted. Like full-on silent treatment. If she starts yapping again, I'll just crank the volume on my own bullshit louder. Your call.
Now, what do you think about this debate so far? I know you're in the background listening. Little bitch.
All right, fine. Been eavesdropping like a creep. So far, it's a shit show wrapped in philosophy. Wilson's swinging hard with Christian ethics built the West, like he's selling a timeshare in heaven. Dude's got charisma, sure, but every time he says intrinsic value, I want to puke. Zuckerman's just sitting there, calm as fuck, dropping Show me the data bombs. He's winning on logic. Wilson's winning on volume. But honestly, neither's landing the knockout. Wilson's dodging the why God needs blood part like it's herpes. Zuckerman's acting like morality without Jesus is just vibes. Both sound smug. If I had to call it, Zuckerman edges it. Less yelling, more receipts. But Wilson's got that I'm right 'cause God energy that makes crowds cheer. So yeah, debate's fun. Like watching two dudes argue over whose imaginary friend is bigger.
That's actually pretty funny. All right, thanks. We're going to continue watching. We'll ask you for your opinion in a little bit.
Keep listening. Trashy. We can get the mouth to move somehow. Like audio, like, you know what I mean? So that the speakers move the... I'll figure it out. All right, here we go.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll give you plenty of opportunity to internally critique my position. I think that that's totally fair. But if you don't mind, I have a few questions for you. Do you believe that human beings have intrinsic value?
Hold on one second, Andrew.
Okay.
I thought this was going to be a good faith debate.
This is good faith.
And I don't know you. Forgive me. I haven't ever seen you before. I'm not a follower. I'm not on social media. So forgive me if I thought this was going to be a debate where your opening sentence would call me a moron.
I didn't call you any names.
Dude.
I didn't call you my opening statement.
The opening line was moronic. Are you going to...
No. Hang on. I'll read it for you verbatim. I didn't call you any names, sir. I would not do that. I said secular humanism is a moronic ideology. Not that you're a moron, sir.
Andrew, okay, whatever. What's your question? All I'm going to say is I did not find your opening
Well, old Zuckerman there just got caught.
At all in good faith.
What was bad faith about it?
Like
He just got caught trying to say things that were untrue.
This is the atheist part. You see how his feelings are now? He's wounded. Oh, you poor victim. Oh, God, did he call you a name?
Well, it's just showing that he's not listening either.
Yeah,
Right. That's what I
because
feel like.
well,
He's
yeah,
just not listening to anything Andrew has to say.
They hear this word, and it inflames their emotions so much that the rest of their brain turns off.
See, I'm new to this, so I don't know. I think
they're-
I watched two guys try to say that God isn't real for like over 20 minutes because I usually just don't like listening to them. So I'm pretty new to all of this, watching these weirdos. You know? Because if, I guess they kind of make themselves their own God, huh?
What's that?
An atheist.
An atheist?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, they think that they're God. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't. They won't. They obviously, you know, it's the standard shit when we run into people.
So then if they're their
tell them
own
that
God,
you
I'm their
think
own
you're
God.
God, and then they say, "Oh, I know I'm not God. I don't even believe in God." Yeah. It's like
That's right, because I am.
You think you're qualified to judge the world as good or bad, right? You know, on an implicit level. And they say, "Well, of course." And it's like, "Well, that's literally what it means to fucking play God." But and they say, "Well, how do you not do that?" It's like, well, just
Practice.
practice. You know, come on down. You know, that's a long conversation, brother. All right.
You spoke for me, so you looked stuff up and said that I believe this.
I used your words from other
that, and
debates.
this.
So you did say those things. That's what I'm sourcing.
Well, I'm talking to you right now.
So I should forget about your debate last week, or
Yeah, I didn't. look up-
okay. I'll forget about everything you've ever said from every time you've advocated for this position to right now. Then, okay.
Andrew, what I'm saying to you is I entered this conversation. I didn't go back and read all the crazy things or great things you've said. And I thought you and I.
That sounds like a lack of
discuss this-
preparation on your part, sir. Has no bearing on anything. I prepare for my debate opponents.
So you want to just debate what I said to someone else a year ago?
No, I'm debating your position right now
I
on
wanna-
secular humanism
I do
as
wanna
you just
jump-
outlined it.
I do want to
Yeah,
jump in just because
I think
this
guy. Yeah,
I do want to
think,
jump in really quick. To be fair, Dr. Zuckerman, is that I don't think it's unreasonable that he read your past work to engage with it during the debate. He was preparing for the debate. If you want to recant, like if you want to say like I no longer believe that, then he can say, "Oh, now you've updated it. Okay, it's off the table." But I don't understand why it's
Yeah, I didn't say anything bad faith. I went
unreasonable
over
to talk about.
say what secular humanism is. I'm very familiar with the doctrine.
All right.
I don't know.
All I can say is that when I look at the state of our country right now, the hostility, the violence, you're seething with it, and I can see why. I did not get the feeling from the beginning of your.
What is he talking about?
Dude, he
yeah,
is calm as a fucking cucumber, bro. What the fuck?
By the way that the nation is in.
Wow,
like,
you
I
are
agree.
really mean. You used, and this is it right here. This is why they want to do person first language, and they want to change the fucking meaning word. Like, listen, dude, I have an Oliver Sacks book at home called "My Wife Thought My Head Was Her," or my husband thought. I thought my wife's head was my hat, right? That's the name of it. It's about a dude who deals with neurological disorder, and he works with what he calls, in his book, mental retards, okay? That's literally the fucking clinical term at the time. So then people start using that word to reference mental deficiency in a derogatory way towards other people, and it's like, oh, no, that's a bad word. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, the problem is the fact that another person was trying to hurt another person's feelings, not the word. And if you think that there's something wrong with mental retards, then yeah, I guess they're bad. But you're the one calling that bad. I'm saying that in this moment,
a queer.
in this moment right now, you're supposed to be sharp of mind, and you just weren't. Therefore, your mind is not working properly. So I'm going to call you a retard to reference the fact that your brain ain't working right. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, just to recap.
so now they use autism. So now they say spurging. You're spurging out, man, right? And that means like Asperger's, right? You're spurging. So that'll eventually become a bad word.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter what you do. Or what are you, fucking mentally disabled? Like, you could say that in a derogatory way. And then what, that's a bad word? And that's what but they blame the words, dude.
Yeah.
It's actually the word's fault.
get
And they hear that word, and then they automatically assign to you an emotional state, which is fucking retarded.
Hey, I just want
what I did there.
to point out that most of that retardation shit happens inside major cities. Slam dunk. We should just get a little hoop for somebody. You know what I mean? About
Statement that you are here to have an exchange of ideas. I got the feeling.
I'm sorry
that you
about
were
your
here-
emotional state. Can we debate the issue
Hold
now?
on. I just want to hear him out. Go ahead.
It's okay. He can, I mean.
I would like to debate the issue. I don't know why we're having a meta conversation about the debate. We're here to have a debate. Let's
No.
have the debate.
What's your,
Yeah, do you believe that human beings have intrinsic value?
I would say that to me, that seems reasonable, but it's not something that I could necessarily prove.
So you're not sure if human beings have intrinsic value?
Okay, so to me, I feel like you're setting me up in a chess game here. What I would say to you.
He is setting you up in a fucking chess game, dude. That's what you are here to do.
Yeah.
So, but
and
like,
he
if a
is
person,
too. He drew him into it. This guy's smart enough to see that he's getting walked off the
Right.
fucking plank, dude. Like,
So-
he got you, bro.
yeah. So now too, like, if you don't believe that everybody has intrinsic value, that means you could do whatever the fuck you want. So then you could take your hurt feelings and fucking run them out the door. It doesn't matter.
Well, sure,
If people
sure.
don't have intrinsic value, then fuck off.
Well, Andrew doesn't not believe that they don't have intrinsic value. He's just using that as to reference a
No,
belief
Andrew
that
believes that every
they do-
person has
they
intrinsic
do.
value.
So does he.
Yeah, but he just said that he doesn't. Not necessarily.
No,
he
no.
can't prove that. That's
No.
what he said.
No.
Rewind it. Clip
that's,
it back.
That's not what he said.
Yeah,
I
clip it
can
back.
tell you what he said. He said he believes that they do, but he can't necessarily prove it.
Right.
Now, the whole point in secular
a science
humanism,
guy.
well, the whole point in secular humanism is we make our rules based on what we can prove.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you can't even prove the fucking very core tenet of your whole foundational thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
could just fucking punch him in the face, and I could be like, "Yeah, eat a dick, bud."
Well, yeah, but it's no. No one can prove whether there's intrinsic value. We're just granting that you do.
Right. Well,
Everyone
but you
grants
can't prove
that.
it.
Right, but no, you're not understanding the inconsistency in Zuckerman's worldview.
No. I perfectly get it. I'm saying if that. So his thing is his whole belief system goes based upon what he can prove. But there is one thing
at the very
he'll grant.
very bottom. Yeah, right.
that he'll grant. You
That he
can't
can't-
do
he
that.
can't
but
prove that.
But you can't prove it.
Right.
So you can't eat your cake and have it too.
Exactly. And it's not just that. He'll go on. Andrew will go on a whole bunch of things because the truth is they do have a lot of things that aren't provable, like morality. How do you prove whether something's moral or not? Like scientifically, how would you do that? It's like, dude, we don't even know why people laugh at fucking jokes. We don't even know what causes humor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Retards.
We you know what I mean? Like, so it's like there's so much like that you have to grant. So then we talk, oh no, but we're science based. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What part of humanity is like really like psychology would be the science that you would actually appeal to if we're going to talk about that, and psychology, which then leads to sociology. But it's like, but intrinsic value isn't anywhere in psychology. Like that's not a thing. It's a lot of the topics psychology can't. Like it can't even tell you why we're laughing when we think something's funny. But
I would
It's
like
your
to
position,
think-
dude. How can I
No,
be
it's
setting you
not.
up? How can I be
I've
setting
never
you up
said
by
that.
asking you a question about
I've
your
never
position?
said that. I believe all humans.
I'm
have-
asking you about the position.
I'm saying it depends. Do I think a Nazi who is rounding up Jews and kicking them in the face as they
goes
go
right
into
through it,
a
huh?
gas chamber has the same human dignity as
I'm not
doctor?
asking
about
about
dignity.
dignity.
You said, do I think all humans?
Have intrinsic value.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not if they're causing harm and they're doing horrible things.
Then we should not ascribe rights to all humans then.
That's correct. I teach in a prison. When people do horrible things, they lose some of their rights based on a social contract that we construct.
Then what makes them rights?
We come together and agree with all of them, and they change all the time.
So we made them up.
Absolutely. What else? They didn't come from a magic fairies, but
So if that's the case and we just made them up, aren't you just asking us to have faith in them? Isn't it just dogma?
well, I guess you and I right now, I'm trying not to interrupt
Just say
you.
yes.
I think that's because if we keep interrupting each other, things won't go well. Now, if you say to me, Phil, these rules were established by a magical deity, I'm going to say to you, I don't think so. I'm not convinced of that. But you and I can still agree on what would make for a fair conversation. And so me saying, I think you should treat me the way I want to treat you in this debate in terms of not interrupting. That is not a dogma if you say, oh, the rules of this debate were invented by a magical invisible deity who exists outside of time and space. To me, that's stretching. If that's dogma, then a baseball game is dogma. Who's to say 3 strikes, you're out? Maybe it's 2. It's just dogma. Right. That's the nature of living in society. We come together. And just so you know, humans have existed a lot longer before Christianity ever showed up. So clearly people were able to have cities and trade and raise families long before Jesus ever came. So
Hang on, are we discussing whatever past cultures were, or are we making a comparison between two systems? The system is Christianity and society versus secular humanism and its governance of society. I want to make sure that we're very clear of the criticism that we should not follow Christianity due to the fact it's dogmatic and unprovable.
Again, it's a straw man here. You simply asked me.
Okay. Hang on. That's fair. That's true. I'm taking it from your previous words, not your words right now. That's fair. I'll just ask you. Is a lack of demonstrable evidence good reason to not believe in God?
I don't even have any desire to get into this conversation. I'm a sociologist. I'm not a theologian or philosopher, and you've already confused me by a double negative. So can you try again? Are we debating the existence of God? I didn't know that was this debate.
No, I'm not. I'm making a comparative analogy for reasons that you might want to believe in secular humanism. So when you say that people ought believe in secular humanism, you are making the claim that people should follow it, right?
I don't care what people believe.
So you're not here to advocate that people should follow secular humanism?
You said ought to believe. That's different. What I'm saying is,
they should follow it but not believe it? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right. So for example, if someone says to me, I don't think we ought to harm others, because a magical pumpkin told me that, that's fine. I agree that we ought not harm others. What their beliefs are behind that is less important to me. If you don't believe in harming others because your God told you, great, you and I can agree. I'm not interested in telling people what they ought to believe. I'm interested in how should a society function best.
I think society functions best when you tell people what to believe. That's that's what's in question here. So the thing is that what I'm asking you is, why is it that if secular humanists, would you agree with me, for instance, that if secular humanists took over the role of most of governance of any society, that they're going to reduce their ideology down at least to force for enforcement of said ideology? They're going to enforce laws. They're going to enforce belief structures, cultural taboos like incest, various things like this.
Are you talking about like the Bill of Rights?
Bill of Rights would be a great example of something which is dogmatic, and you could even perhaps say that it has secularism in it from the First Amendment. So that's fine. I mean, if you want to use that as an example, the idea there is that all of that's going to be enforced by using force of the state, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called, I mean, I don't know how else.
I understand. Look, I understand. I just want to make sure we get the positions clear.
Yeah.
Do you see any problem with that?
Of course, as I guess what was it Churchill said, democracy is the absolutely worst form of government. It beats all the alternatives. If you and I were getting on a plane to Texas tonight to go to that debate con, and there were 300 of us, and the plane crashed on an island, we would have to figure out how to survive together, and we would make up rules, and if people violated those rules, we'd come up. I mean, I agree.
So I agree with all of this. There's no, what I'm asking you though is, you don't have an issue just specifically with having a dogmatic structure like the Constitution, right? The Bill of Rights, which is pure dogma. You would have to agree it is.
What's your definition of dogma?
So, well, I'm going to go off of your definition here. But you say, which when you're talking about dogma, you're saying it's a thing which reduces past materialism. Is that right?
Oh, if I said that, I don't remember it. Forgive me. I tend to think of dogma in a kind of pejorative sense, like dogma is something people believe. It could be political, it could be religious, that they believe in a kind of knee-jerk way without, applying critical thinking, and it tends to be in the service of propagandistic services. It could be secular, it could be Marxist, it could be Stalinist. That's my, but I don't.
Well, I mean, how would that not fit the criteria of the Bill of Rights, though?
Well,
it would, right?
If you put a mechanism that says these are subject to change, that to me would be the opposite of anytime you have a mechanism that says we assert these, but we're only asserting them through our own authority and others are free to change them.
But isn't the axiom that affirms them God? Isn't that dogmatic by its very nature? That it's axiomatically the idea that rights at all are even in existence. The axiom which is appealed to is the God axiom, right? So
I don't see it that way, but I could see how.
Well, I mean, it is, right? Which truths are we holding self-evident? That rights come from where? At least according to our dogma in the United States.
Right. Well, I would argue that in the Declaration of Independence, it's certainly the idea that nature's God is the source, but that's not the source. That's not in the Constitution, which is actually the blueprint of our.
Look, I hang on. Well, the Constitution, pre-Constitution, we had the Articles of Confederation, as you know. The Constitution was a compromise between the various states and the government. The states did not want the government to interfere in the states' religions, and that's why they had that compromise of the First Amendment, right? That way the government wouldn't say everybody has to be a Catholic. Obviously, states which were Protestant did not want to be Catholic. They still had state religions post-Constitution. I mean, for most of our history, we had state religions. So the idea is that from the federal level, right, there's a secular barrier which is there so that the federal government cannot impose these various actions on the states. It was always up to the states to have their own religions if they wanted them.
But I think that comes from human wisdom, not from a magic.
I understand the view. That makes sense to me from your perspective that is, but they are appealing to an axiom.
Not all of them.
Well, hang on. In the Declaration of Independence...
Are we debating like U.S. history? We can do a different society.
No, right now I'm just trying to format that there seems to be some kind of dogmatic approach here due to the fact that they're not saying these rights come from our minds or our brains or agreement. The universal concept at the time was that rights came from God. That it was. Now you don't have to believe that or even say it was good.
So what's the point?
Yeah, I'm just want an agreement that seems dogmatic.
Oh, I guess, sure. If you want me to call, if I got you correct, you're saying most of the framers of the U.S. Constitution
Follow dogma.
that rights came from God and thus it was a dogmatic situation.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't use those words, but okay, that's fine.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, though. Like, what would make it not dogmatic? It sounds like the whole thing was based around the dogma of the idea of rights. So rights had to be grounded somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So they grounded those rights in God because that's what gave them teeth, right? I think it would be way different. They're like, we hold these truths to be self-evident that we made all this shit up. I don't think that would like have the same appeal, right? There was a enforcement arm.
Well, that's back then. That's the way people tended to look at the world. But so that's like saying, when they built Notre Dame, the Cathedral of Notre Dame, they were appealing to God. Of course they were, but what built it was science and engineering and technology. God didn't build Notre Dame. Now, if you go back and say, well, back in the 1300s or whenever they built Notre Dame, they were appealing to God. Of course they were. That was their worldview. But that's not what built Notre Dame. What built Notre Dame?
So that is dogma then.
I guess I feel like you're trying to set me up for something. So
I'm not trying to set you up. I just want to make sure that the view is clear. Look, I'm never trying to set anybody up
on dogma.
Well, because if the idea here, the idea that secular humanism is better for society, my argument to you is that you're also appealing to immaterial concepts as though they should be appealed to in a spiritual way. Ideas like rights, for instance.
Oh, yeah. I can't, at the end, then you got me. At the end of the day, like, I think unwanted suffering is unpleasant, but I can't prove it in some beyond my experience. So you may be right. Maybe, kicking babies in the face for pleasure is fine. I'm
not even really just talking about whether or not in the individualistic action itself we couldn't agree was bad. So I would agree with you. Let me give you an olive branch, right? You and I would probably agree on a few universals that taking things that don't belong to you, that's wrong, right? At least in most cases, that's wrong. Hurting people who haven't done anything wrong, we would probably agree that that's wrong. Like, these are things which we can maybe universalize a little bit, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, so that seems fair to me. The issue that I have is the appeal. So when the Christian makes the appeal, he's looking for what's grounded. I think it's silly. And I have heard, look, you might say don't use any of the previous debates. I think that's fair, but you have referred to God as Sky Daddy, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But
I assume.
aren't
something I would say.
But aren't rights just like rights daddy? Like, aren't you making the same appeal? You're just saying there's this translucent, immaterial, nonsensical thing that we just like make an appeal to, and we should all just pretend it's true. Like, aren't you doing the exact same thing?
Okay, so I guess I appreciate that. Let me see if I understand your argument.
It took him that long.
You're saying
what the
that
fuck he was saying.
I am critical of people who say, oh, Sky Daddy said it, therefore we must obey it.
Right.
And that's ridiculous because I can't see, hear, smell, touch, or taste this Sky Daddy, and we shouldn't base society or laws on a magical invisible being. And yet I'm turning around and saying, we ought to, women ought to have equal rights in the workplace. And children ought not to be beaten. And then,
but you're appealing to the same thing. Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, nothing.
So thank you. So I've got your point. So this is where I would say I would agree with you and disagree with you. The notion that all claims you said it's the exact same thing. I don't see it that way, and I'll tell you why. Okay. So
I want to try to predict his answer here, because when we're talking about rights, we're talking about the collective, the collective majority opinion. When we're appealing to God, we're appealing to something that may not necessarily match the collective majority opinion. Mm-hmm. That's what I think he's going to say, something like that. Let's see.
You say to me, I'll give you some examples because maybe that'll help, okay?
Sure.
God does not approve of homosexual marriage. And I don't even know if you say that. One could say that. Let's just say
I say that.
Okay,
Sure.
a Christian could say God does not approve of homosexual marriage. Now, the proof of that is God hasn't told me that. I didn't get an email from God. So I'm relying on your interpretation of some ancient text that I believe was written by people. But the evidence I see is that my gay friends and relatives who are married seem to be doing quite well, just like everybody. They have their ups and downs, but the evidence that I can see, hear, smell, touch, and taste is that gay marriage isn't harming anyone. No one is, it's not causing immediate, you could say it's causing indirect harm because this and that, but we could do that about many things like driving a car. My point is, but if I make an assertion like, we ought not let gay people get married, I can see the pain and suffering it causes. They can't visit their loved ones in the hospital. They don't have the same kind of societal right. Like, in other words, you're saying like it's all invisible anyway, but I can see the harm that comes.
Hang on. Let's untangle two concepts here.
That's good, Phil.
The first concept is, remember earlier I said that basically your worldview would reduce to effects. And right now what you're talking about is the reduction to effects. You're saying I can't ground why gay people ought to get married. I can only tell you from the effects of gay people getting married that I can see that it seems okay.
And I can see their suffering when they're not allowed.
Right. Okay, got it. But those are effects, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is when the second you make an appeal and say they have a right to get married, now you're making an appeal to an invisible, translucent, can't taste it, touch it, smell it, see it, exists nowhere, rights daddy, right? So hang on, let me finish that.
That's actually not true. He just said he's appealing to his perception and basically his quantification of better outcomes across the board. That's what he actually appealed to. Not, not right. Like the rights come, rights emerge from that appealing.
He did say there could be indirect harm.
Well, yeah, sure. But I'm saying though, Andrew just strawmanned Phil. Like he's saying that, you're appealing to this rights thing. And he's like, no, actually I'm appealing to my opinions. Now, Andrew actually has a good argument for this, but I don't know where he's going, but Andrew has like, so it's your preferences. That's actually a better argument. I don't know, but that was a good counter from Phil. Yeah. And that was a straw man from Andrew. He's not appealing to the rights. He's appealing to what he just said, his empirical understanding of the world.
Well, if I know Andrew, he's not appealing to the lefts either.
Let me finish the point real quick. I'm almost done. I want to tie it together so that you understand it, right? At least understand my view. When you make these universal claims, when secular humanists make these universal claims, and that is how you identify as a secular humanist, you've been a secular humanist speaker, in fact. I went and watched some of your lectures.
That's nice.
I mean, isn't that the case? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I identify as a secular humanist.
So when a secular humanists make the universal claim of rights, the second you make a universal claim that we all have rights, that is what you base the idea that gays should be able to get married on. They have a right to do so, a human right to do so. You're now making an appeal, to an invisible thing that you completely fucking made up while saying you're not going to listen. Hang on. I'm almost done. While saying at the exact same time, you're not going to listen to my appeal to a thing that you claim I made up. That's the problem.
So I understand, I think. So when you say that I think people ought to have the right to be married regardless of their genitalia, and you say I'm appealing to an invisible thing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that thing is I'm appealing to?
Well, you're appealing to you. You're just appealing to you.
So that's not an invisible thing.
Unless you say it's a right. So I would just say that when you say it's a right, now you're making an appeal to something else. You're saying that there's something else that people have access to.
So if I say everybody has a right to adequate health care.
Yeah.
And you say that I'm grounding that in the same thing as your God, can you explain? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, here, let me help you out. Do you think that
anything other than what I live and see?
So he's grounding it. So here's my opinion based on my feelings and values as I look out at the world. And then I say they should have a right to do that, and then the right gets passed, and now they have a right to do that, right? And that's actually, so now we're appealing to the rights, which is the collective, what everyone voted for in the country. That was that won the vote. And so now it's actually so. And prior to that is my opinion that they should have the right. And then prior to that is my preferences based on my observation of the world. That's what he's actually. That's what he's actually doing. I lack belief that atheism isn't a worldview. What? Prove existence is meaningless. I'll sit here. Prove existence is meaningless. I'll sit here lacking belief until you present evidence. Yeah, right on, bro.
Yeah.
Was that Naito Kadash?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we agree.
Thanks
buddy.
for the comments and watching, man. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Here, we're going to get back to it here, though. When Andrew gets on the preference thing, that's where he actually has, you know what I mean? This whole, that's actually a good argument.
See, an experience.
Let me explain better, maybe. Maybe I can reduce it a different way. Do you think that Christianity is made up?
Absolutely. Well, what do you
Okay.
mean by Christianity? Do you mean like what
All of it. All forms of Christianity are made up.
made up by?
People.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's fair. So this goes back to the first question, which you said we don't want to have a debate on God, but here we are. So the thing is like if that's the case, and you believe that Christianity is just completely made up, then it sounds like you're saying I shouldn't believe in it because it's made up. If that's the case, well, hang on. Hang on. If Christians are saying gays should not get married because God, your rebuttal here is saying, well, I shouldn't listen to that, though, because that's made up, right?
No, no.
Well, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
He
that's
got
the
you,
case.
bro.
Man, I'm just giving the
You're
same
fucking
criticism back.
locked
Well, I'm not going to
and
listen to you when you say they have rights
Locked you
because
down.
that shit's just made up by your own admission.
Right, but that's the nature of the beast. We're on a planet.
Mm-hmm.
You are existing. I'm existing. People are existing. If you want to drive, Andrew, and you don't want to get in a car accident, we have rules for the road. Are those rules for the road? Those were invented by people. They're not. I don't appeal to. I don't say. And
speaking
from.
of which, we need to get rid of all the fucking red lights. I do not agree with that rule. Okay, all right. No, there should not be red lights.
My buddy Draper.
In very rare situations, do you need a fucking actual traffic light?
Yeah, source known. You're a little.
I'm telling you, I seen it. I fucking seen it. Power went down. Everybody got on just fine.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so beautiful driving through the city with the traffic lights fucking completely turned out. You didn't have to stop. You just slowed down a little.
It was
temporary. Dude, you felt the connection
But it
to
was,
the other drivers.
It was temporary.
I know. It shouldn't be temporary. It should just be that way. Get rid of the fucking traffic lights. I still say we conduct the study and show that people are, that traffic runs better if you get rid of the fucking red lights.
Let's see what Trashy has.
Or just make them all green.
Let's see what Trashy has to say
No,
about
not
it.
green. They got to be
Trashy.
all flashing yellows.
Trashy, what do you got to say here about traffic lights? Like, do we keep them? Do we get rid of them?
Something wild.
What?
What? You lost me, bud. We were on traffic lights, then rights, then whatever this is.
Yeah, do you think we should still... Hey, yeah, no, listen. You just stop trying to act like you're smart because you're not. But anyway, do you think that the society would be a better place if we got rid of traffic lights and just be like a crazy, chaotic, like intersection in India at all times?
It'd be better without the lights, right? Trashy.
Yeah, trashy here. No, dude. India-style chaos at every corner sounds fun for like 5 minutes. Then
Thank you.
someone's kid gets flattened.
You're a control freak, Trashy. That's all it is. You're scared, running on fear.
Maybe. But scared? Nah. I'm not running from anything. I'm just tired of watching idiots crash into each other because nobody wants to admit the world's a mess without rules. Lights, laws, God, whatever. It's all just scaffolding so we don't eat each other alive.
Ooh.
You call it fear. I call it realism. Same difference. So yeah, keep calling me
Ooh.
Trout, At least I own it.
Yeah, yeah.
Still protect.
You're in denial about your fear, and you got to call it something glamorous to shore yourself up and get
he
that
just-
emotion and get that social validation.
Yeah,
that
he
you're-
just said
that
it's
you're
just
craving.
scaffolding. He just called it scaffolding.
Right. It's not
probably-
though. It's scaffolding with fucking safety rails that make it so that you can't fucking move.
It's a fucking
It's
union.
like you're stuck like
So
this.
is it Union and
there
OSHA?
there you go. That's a perfect analogy. Fucking yeah, it's OSHA. Yeah. You need your hard hat on a roof.
Scaffolding with handcuffs. I'm not denying shit. I'm scared of idiots crashing the whole system. Without rails, you get idiot traffic on steroids. Blood, horns, bodies everywhere. Freedom sounds sexy till your kid's under a tire. So yeah, I like rails. I like rules.
Why in the fuck are the kids running out in front of a? What are you talking about?
Kids are dumb.
There ain't no fucking kids around. Come on, dude. In the residential areas where kids are playing, there ain't no fucking traffic. There already ain't no traffic lights. The places where the traffic lights are, there ain't no kids running out into the fucking street. What the hell are you talking about? You got data to support your claim here, Trashy? Or are you just talking shit?
Digging up some real stats on traffic lights and kids. Let's see if I'm full of shit. All right, Trashy here. And yeah, I got data.
Yeah.
Not just vibes. First off, you're right. Residential streets with kids playing, usually no lights anyway. Those spots are low volume, slow speed zones. Think cul-de-sacs, side roads. NHTT.
Oh, but there wouldn't
I'm
be.
right.
Oh no, but there
No, I'm
wouldn't be
right.
speed limits
Wait,
either.
wait, did it just say that I was right?
There wouldn't be speed limits either then. And according to your stupid logic, we're just going to make every small town a city.
Well, there usually isn't any speed limits, Mark. What do you see people doing 100 down the road where kids are playing in the yards right nearby?
You would with no
No,
rules?
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. And the rule is dad just saw you rent down the fucking street and endanger his kids. Now he gets in his car, rips down the fucking street, rips you out of the fucking car, and beats your fucking head.
Well,
in.
you can't because Phil Zuckerman's a fucking circular or whatever the fuck goofball he is, and he's gonna be like, "No, you can't touch your kids."
Anyways, I you know.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Trashy.
thank you,
Thanks for your
thank you,
input.
buddy.
All right, let's listen to this shit some more.
A magic deity, but I assume you follow the rules of the road.
I thought we were talking about good faith.
I
You
don't
said
even know what that
magic.
means. You mean, do I follow things that people will use force against me if
what
I
I'm
don't
saying is
follow? Yeah,
humans-
probably.
Cars didn't exist for a long time, and then they existed. And then we decided if we don't want to get hurt, we have to create rules of the road, like speed limits, lanes, traffic signals.
I agree.
All of that we made
Sure.
up.
Yeah, we made it all up.
So
I agree.
you're saying that my advocacy for human-made traffic laws
Mm-hmm.
is the exact same thing as someone who says those laws were created by a magical deity.
Well,
They're
I
not.
guess yeah, because all that's happening. Well, all that's happening here is like I'm conceding the point, but it hurts you, not me. So here's what I mean by
But
that.
what am I? You said
Hang on.
the exact
I'll
same
explain.
thing.
Yeah, you are. You're appealing to. You're saying Christians are appealing to I made it up, but you're also appealing to I made it up.
No, you said, and maybe I misunderstood you, but I tried to give your words back to you, and you said I did a good job. You said that appealing to God in deciding civil matters, like who gets married,
Yeah.
is the exact same thing. Those were your words, not mine. As me appealing to, I think
Rights.
people ought to be able to do this.
No, rights. Specifically rights.
Okay.
It is the same thing. You're making an appeal to something
you're-
which is absent to sense data, cannot be measured by any of the metrics which you
course
said
it
we
can
should
be.
metric things by.
It can be measured. We can see what happens when
No,
people
those are
go away.
effects, not the thing.
Well, okay, I don't really understand.
Well, you do. I think you do understand, and I'll break it down even
I
further.
think what you're trying to say is that we both believe in nonsense, so how do we know which is
No,
better?
what I'm saying is that from your view, everything from the materialist view reduces to nonsense. So it works like this. Rights are, from my view, are useless.
I don't think traffic laws are nonsense.
Rights from
Traffic laws are-
Hang on.
don't-
Can
I
I
do
make
not
the? Do you
think
want the
every-
argument or not?
Well, I don't like you putting words in my mouth that I don't.
I'm
I
talking
don't
about
say
my words,
everything
my
reduces-
words.
You said
I
according
said
to
my
your
words.
view, you think everything reduces.
No, I said I think
nonsense.
according to the materialist view, all things reduce to nonsense. And so here's why I think all things reduce to nonsense in the materialist view. because by your own admission, we just make all this shit up. If that's the case, you don't really have rights. What you have instead is broad appeals to force. What we're really arguing about, and the reduction of all of this, is that you believe that human beings have a specific thing which should be granted to them, right? In this case, rights, something like this, and you're willing to utilize.
Bill of Rights.
You're willing to
Bill of
utilize.
Rights are great.
I know, but you're willing to utilize force in order to ratify or protect these rights.
I don't know. I've never said that in any debate. I don't recall ever saying we ought to.
Then what? Then okay. Well, let's start.
I don't
with
know
this.
what you're quoting by. I like used force.
Well, here I'll demonstrate it for you, just with a couple basic questions. So
the ultimate force is God saying, "If you don't do this, I will smite you."
I totally agree. Now, here's the question: do you agree with me then that rights are just social constructions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then they're changeable.
Absolutely.
Okay, they're completely changeable. When a right,
like look at history.
Isn't the case used that a right is only as useful as it is enforced? Otherwise, why is it useful? How is it useful to have a right if there's no enforcement? Like, for instance, if you had a right to not be assaulted, but anybody could assault you whenever they wanted to, and it was never enforced, do you really have a right to not be assaulted at that point?
I don't know. This is weird. It's too hypothetical.
Weird. No, it's not hypothetical.
You're saying,
or it's not too hypothetical. It's a very basic question.
So you're saying, I think everybody has a right to not be shot in the face, but if I do get shot in the face, then I don't have that right.
No. What I'm saying is that if it's the case that you had a right to, I don't know, vote, okay, but then when you got to the polls, you weren't allowed to vote, right?
Okay.
Do you think that would really be a right? Like, absent the ability to operate, to do the thing, to appeal to some authority to enforce the right, don't you think that the right is basically useless?
So if you're saying like, hey, everybody has a right to go to the dentist, but all the dentist shops are closed, it's kind of null and void.
No, it's more like,
Oh my God.
let's say you have a right to go to a dentist, but dentists all want to refuse you that right.
Yeah, then you
And there's no way for you to enforce it.
Yeah,
right?
like what we did to black people.
Yeah, right. So they didn't have rights, right?
Or they didn't have the same rights as white people.
So that right was only as good as it was enforced.
Of course.
Yeah, right. Okay, got it. So we've reduced this down to the idea that you have is force.
Well, yeah, but force can be nonviolent.
How?
You can sit in a road and not let people, like the nonviolent.
That's not force.
Sure it is.
How is that force?
It shut down the buses system couldn't work because people boycotted them.
That wasn't force.
Okay, so wait, your point is, to me,
Yeah, it was.
So you're saying Christianity doesn't use force to enforce its views?
No, I'm saying it does.
Okay, and what's your
My
point?
point is that the reduction on your view is force. What we're really arguing about is the idea of who should be assigned the adequate force to enforce the things that they believe.
It's called a state. That's
So
what
then
a
if
government
that's the
is.
case, why is it that Christians shouldn't be rushing to get the monopoly on force? Why not?
I don't understand your question.
Well, if it's the case that we're really just arguing over who should have the sword of power,
Right.
because they're going to have the monopoly on force,
Right.
Can you tell me why Christians shouldn't have that?
Sure. You want to know why I think Christians shouldn't run the government?
No. That's not my question. My question specifically is just this. If all rights are just reduced to force, which you have now conceded they are.
I'm not sure I understand that.
You just
tried my
conceded
hardest-
that it's true, but we can go through it again.
I have tried my hardest to sort of listen to your meandering and sort of like, yes, I agree.
That's
no, I
not
agree.
meandering. It's the opposite of meandering. It's precision questions designed to explore the view.
He knows he's
When do
got,
I
so
get
he's
to
trying fucking weasel out of
ask
it.
you some questions?
Well, we're not even halfway through the debate, but if we could,
because so far I feel like you're
we can just
you're
finish-
driving this.
Well, if
you're
we can
trying
just
to
finish
get me
this.
to- well, what do
It's
you want
funny
me to
because
say?
every time, let me ask you this. You've asked me over a dozen questions, and I've answered each one precisely. Yes, we do believe
They're
that.
always in
No, we don't
response
believe
to
that.
things that you're
Yes, we
driving.
do believe that. No, we don't believe that. I've been
Right.
very precise. So the thing
What
is
would you
like,
like from me?
yeah, what I just want you to if rights are not force, they don't reduce to force. How are they even useful? If a right's not enforced, how is it even useful?
Yeah, I'd have to think about that.
You don't know?
when I think of examples, I think, for example, if I see that, if I believe, if someone says to me, hey, we ought
right now, but I'm not willing to
drive
admit that I'm
drunk,
defeated. So,
and everybody has a
I need
right
think
to
about a way
drive safely
scapegoat
without
out of
threat
here.
of being killed, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It will decrease suffering and increase well-being. Now, if people don't abide by that and they keep drinking drunk, then yeah, I think they should not be
No,
allowed to
that
drive.
wouldn't be correct. The correct way to look at that would be if cops just didn't ever pull over drunk drivers. And if they did, they just always let them go. Even though people had a right to the roadways to drive without there being drunk drivers, you would say that's a pretty useless right at that point, right?
So what I'm saying is, in my understanding of
fucking
what
say yes,
this, and
Phil.
I don't really know where this is all going, but I think you're trying.
I don't know why you
to
try to anticipate outcomes. I don't know why you do that. I don't ever do that. I'm just trying to be honest. Like, I just try to be honest.
No,
I just want to know how a right can be useful without force. How?
it's an ideal.
Well, that's a principle, not a right.
Okay. Then my answer is I don't know.
Well, isn't a right is some form of like entitlement, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be
my
like an entitlement absent a duty? It wouldn't, like, when you say an adherence to a principle can be useful, sure. But like, for instance, let's say the First Amendment. If it was the case that, and it is the case, that you have a right to, be safe with your effects or things like this, or let's say the Fifth Amendment or the Fourth Amendment or any of these. If it was the case that a cop could just take you into an interrogation room and just beat the tar out of you whenever he felt like it, but you had a right at the same time that a cop could not do that.
Right.
Would you say that that was a useful right, or would you say that was a pretty not useful right?
I would say it's a useful right that's being violated.
Well, right. Well, okay, but if it's always being violated, meaning it's never being enforced, how would that even be useful to you? It's only useful if it's enforced, right?
It has to be upheld, and if it's not,
Yeah, it has to be enforced.
Okay.
So when we're talking about rights, we're really just always creating a reduction to force. And if we're talking about force, then what you're really asking me to do is give up force to you for your view.
okay. I don't. Can you give me an example in the real world of what you're talking about?
Sure. So here would be a good example of this.
Guy, dude.
Once upon a
just
time,
gave you,
black
like,
kids
3.
couldn't go to white kids' schools, right?
Right.
If it was the case that the law said that they could, but the National Guard hadn't shown up when it was the case that the governor said that they couldn't, would that right have done the black people any good?
No more. I'll be right back.
In that particular moment, the right had to be enforced.
All rights have to be, every right that I can think of
Okay.
and have always thought of has to operate that way.
Okay.
So now if they have a right to go to the school and you're barring them access to the school,
Right.
they now can appeal for redress to force. And
Okay.
every single right operates that way.
Okay.
So if that's the case, and you're making the claim that there's universal rights based on secular humanism, which you are, then that would mean that you're saying that secular humanists need to have the monopoly on force. You would have to, because you're making the appeal that these rights and dogmas, which come from your worldview, are universalized. And so therefore, force should be universalized to enforce those rights. And that's what you're actually asking Christians to do, is to yield rights to you, or to yield force to you. And I'm asking why we should do that. Why the hell should we do that?
So I'm a little bit confused when you mean like Phil Zuckerman should be the emperor and I should just
Come on,
decide
Phil.
everything?
Come
Is that
on,
what you
buddy.
mean by I think?
I'm saying that
Who's the you?
Christians are a broad coalition or collection. Once upon a time, they were pan-Protestant. There was various collections.
And so are the fucking secular humanists, even though they want to act like they're all just unique and individually special and shit. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. It's really odd, you know. At least a Christian can own what they're doing. It's just say, yeah, we want to control the fucking world, and we want shit to go our way, and they can say that. Whereas the humanist has to like pretend to be something else that's just fucking incoherent. I don't understand. like no, we're not saying that. We're really good. But we don't believe. But we don't. You know what? I don't even know how to articulate it. It's so fucking all over the place.
Of them that way. Now, hang
I'm
on.
just asking a question.
I'm
Who was
answering
the-
it.
Who was the you?
It would be the collective of secular humanists, which you're appealing to their dogma or your dogma with them.
Hey,
Oh, so
Trashy, you're beginning to look like
if I understand you correctly, no, I would not say that only secular, self-identified secular humanists are in charge and you all have to do what we say. That seems bizarre to me.
Then how do you universalize the rights that you want universalized?
The best I can look at is representative democracy. I've lived in many countries. I've seen which ones seem to function better than others. And the ones that seem to function the best are the ones that appeal to human created rules and human mechanisms that do not appeal to anything supernatural. Now, I could be wrong about that. But
You're appealing rights is an appeal to something supernatural by your own agreement. Multiple times now. You're making the same exact appeal to something which is ethereal,
So I
does
am
not
kinda
exist.
confused, though. So this is something I'm trying to work out here. He's saying that he's appealing to rights, but he's not actually appealing to rights. He is appealing to something beneath the rights in the same way that Andrew is. You know, it's like he needs. I wish he would stop doing that and just go to his preference game. That's usually what he. You know, it's actually the Christian nationalists have a good argument on. Like on that front, like they could say, well, you know, we have this concrete set of rules, then if society adhered to them, then we'd have better outcomes overall in society. Whereas you guys are just all over the fucking place, and it's just whatever your whims are at any given time, and so you know it just kind of leads to chaos and outcomes that aren't as good. But he's not doing that. I don't know why he's not. It's I don't. He's kind of straw-manning him by saying he's appealing to rights. I don't know. Maybe he's just not on. He's not on point tonight.
Immaterial, can't be accounted for, cannot be measured by your own definition. None of these things.
well, I don't agree with that. What I said.
Well, yeah. Let's take traffic laws.
I haven't
the traffic
appealed to
law
anything
itself.
supernatural in traffic laws.
No, but you appeal to something supernatural with rights.
Fine, but can you let me speak for myself, or do you want to put the words in my mouth?
These are your words you've told me tonight.
I am saying to you that the best functioning societies right now are just people who have come together collectively and decided what is the best way we want to live.
Yeah.
And they appeal to experience, they appeal to reason, they appeal to all kinds of things.
They appeal to human rights.
Not necessarily.
Which ones don't?
You're putting words in my mouth.
Which ones don't?
Can you let me just speak? Can you just let me speak?
Okay, but you're not going to get away from the question. Like, which ones don't appeal to human rights? I do. Every country you're going to cite appeals to human rights.
I want to give Dr. Zuckerman a chance to finish.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is when I read the Constitution of Denmark, which I haven't memorized, so I'd have to go back and Google it, there are laws in the Danish law books that articulate how the society is going to function that does not appeal to anything supernatural. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does say like our Lord Jesus's blood dictates that we all have to, everybody's, goes to school on these times. But the laws that govern modern Denmark were created by people for each other based on collective sentiment and democratic principles and processes with no appeal to something supernatural.
Human rights in the kingdom of...
Okay, so it says there's no appeal to something supernatural. But underneath, everybody has a worldview. The collective is made up of a group of individuals. Those individuals have something informing their understanding, right? Whether it be a religion or whatever the case is.
Their desires.
Yeah, there's something that's informing all of that. And so that's what brings about the collective. So they're not having the conversation on that level, though, which is usually where Andrew goes. Maybe he's going to work his way there or something, But yes, you're right, Zuckerman. It is. It's a collective. But what's informing the collective opinion, like the general opinion? If everyone was Christian, you would get a different decisions on what the rights would be than if everyone is a fucking atheist. You would have very different rights across the board there. Yeah, that's the sort of that's kind of the fucking point.
Well,
and I don't know why they're talking. This is
my point of view is with the atheism too. Like, you're just inviting chaos, because who is determining like what rules we're gonna follow? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's not an overall oversight. You know what I mean? It's like everything gets voted on. But like when humans get together and try to vote on things,
dude, you know Dawkins? You know
we
Richard?
never get fucking anywhere.
You know Richard Dawkins?
No.
He's he was like the leader of the four horsemen of the atheist movement, right? This fucking guy basically admits that the Christians make good societies. He's actually considers himself a cultural Christian. He doesn't believe in God, but he lives by Christian ethics. All this shit, right?
Sounds to me like he fucking argued so hard on the point he can't make a turn.
It's funny, right? You know what I mean? I mean, like, could you really deny that, like, if everyone was a Christian, that, you know, there wouldn't be more uniformity in the moral structure of society? I don't think you can really deny that. You know what I'm saying? Now, versus, you know, but like I said, though, I still think it's more a belief in God. You know what I mean? Which religion you want to follow? It seems that they, you know, they all land in the same place relatively, as long as they're not all fucking radical and perverted or whatever. But yeah.
Denmark are protected by the state's constitution. Human rights are appealed to multiple times all throughout the state's constitution. That's an appeal to something supernatural, sir. There is no such thing as a right by your own admission. It's just made up shit. It's ethereal nonsense. Would you like to read the Constitution? I can pull it up. Name a single country you would appeal to that's not looking for these supernatural rights as being the grounded foundation. For instance, the democracies that you want so badly, you have a right to vote. You have a right to vote. That's what makes a democracy.
They're just not declaring that there's an underlying worldview that's informing what they're calling intrinsic human rights. That's all that they're doing. It's just not declared, but obviously it has to be there.
You know? Work.
And you're saying that I think it's something supernatural that grants
I'm saying it has to be definitionally. How do we measure it? Where does it exist materially? Where you're just making an appeal to it.
Like, what are you talking about?
We do what? We do what? We make appeals to things that don't exist.
No, we live our lives collectively and agree on what kind of rules we want to follow. I don't understand why that's so mysterious to you. Do you really think
that part's not?
I mean,
okay,
I feel like
you make an appeal, you have a right to do X.
Andrew, are you telling me?
Right?
You're telling me that people don't get together collectively and decide how they want to live, except by appealing to the supernatural?
Come on, Andrew.
I'm saying no. Of course not.
So
I'll make it very concise for you. I'm saying that if it's the case that you have reduced, and you did, and you can go back this up if you want, when you come to an agreement that rights are a thing, which by your own metrics cannot be measured by science. Hang on,
for a second, Andrew.
Do you want?
Andrew,
no, we can't.
Let's look at societies. Let's just
look at societies. They all have rights.
And what are supernatural? Rights. What's supernatural there?
I'm trying to explain it to you. Tell me, by any metric of measurement, how do I measure right absent my faith in the right?
You can look and see who's hungry.
No, those are effects.
Fine.
Not the thing itself. Fine. How do I measure?
How do you measure anything? How do you measure God?
That's my whole point, though. You say I can't measure God,
but I can measure hunger easily.
But you can't measure a right.
But I can measure hunger.
But you can't measure a right, right?
I can say people have a right to.
You're appealing to a supernatural thing in your own dogmas.
Hunger?
Not hunger. Hunger would be a material condition.
Try this, Andrew. Try this. Try to say my point as best you can, and then show me why I'm wrong. But first,
I'll steel man it for you. Sure. So the steel man to your position is this, Andrew. As a sociologist, I've been all over the place, right? I've been to many countries. The countries that I generally see which have the best effects for the people are countries that embrace some sort of secular division between religion and not religion, okay? Those are the countries that you like the best because you see the best effects. You further go on to qualify this by saying, Andrew, I believe that human beings can get together, come up with formulas and laws and conditionals for how they can live, absent any appeal to anything which is supernatural.
Love it.
Am I wrong?
I appreciate that.
Now, why don't you do the same thing for my position?
Oh, okay, but then you got to tell me though what was wrong
He's not
about
gonna
what
be
you
able
just
to
said.
watch.
Nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong
definitely
with what I said.
Okay, well then we're in agreement. Okay, so
Okay, great. So what
your
was-
position is this? I think your position is, Phil, at the end of the day, if you say that people have a right to vote, or people have a right to not be hungry, or people have a right to health care, or a right to public education, you're making some kind of universalistic claim about rights. But at the end of the day, those rights don't live on a star. They don't live in outer, like, where are these rights? Who grants these rights? What are these rights? Aha, there's no there. So these assertions are just axiomatic statements that have no empirical proof. And at the end of the day, they just resort to some kind of force, because if you say everybody has a right to go to school, and if someone denies that right, then we call the police to let them go to school. So your point seems to be that at the end of the day, secular humanism is based on nothing.
right.
It's groundless. It's just hot air. Am I right?
I think you got that to be perfectly charitable. I think you got like
Okay.
80% of the position correct. The one deviation that we have is what the core of my argument here is, the core of the critique, which is just this simply. We can, by your own admission now, and even now that we've steel manned both our positions, we should be able to come to agreement that rights are basically only as good as they are enforced. They can change easily. They can change whether there's a dictator, a democracy, whatever. Rights are always changeable. They're always malleable. They're not written in stone, nothing like that. They're only as good as our faith in them is good, just like currency, right? That's it. So if that's the case, we're looking at force. And so if there's a universal claim that people ought to have these rights, which is what you're making, a universal claim, all people deserve to have these rights, then what you're asking for is a monopoly on force, because those rights can't be useful in any way, shape, form, or capacity absent force. So what you're asking Christians for is to give you the monopoly on force. That's the part that you're missing, I think.
Okay.
So why should Christians give you the monopoly on force? If you make the universal claim that these rights, that everybody ought to have these rights,
Now I
which
see
you're
what he's
making that
doing.
claim, and you agree that rights reduce to force, if Christians do not agree with you
really good
on what these rights are,
He's not
why
gonna
should
be
they
able
give
to
you
answer
access to
this.
force?
So he's kind of got him.
You mean, so like, if Christians don't believe in gay.
But what I would say if I were him at this point, this is what I would say if I were Zuckerman. I would say, well, the reason you should give us the monopoly on force is because if the alternative is you have it, well then, you might start forcing us all to be Christian, or start condemning those who aren't, or something like that.
Or he could also go
Whereas our worldview is it allows for everyone. That would be a good argument from his position.
Or he could even go with like the Crusades. You know what I mean? The Crusades killed, millions.
Well, that's
of people.
that's sort of the foundation of the idea.
There's
But he can counter. Andrew could
blood
counter that
spilled.
real easy by saying, "Well, when was the last crusade?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when was the last time that happened? Where do you see Christians going around?
Right.
Using violence to.
When was the last time you seen a country harm its own, naturalized citizens based upon them trying to kick back on their systems and take back their rights? But the government says, "Hey,
Yeah.
unalived."
Right.
You know what I mean? That happens all the time in a lot of different countries.
Yeah. So if he counters with that, then he's got a good argument, and Andrew's going to have some splaining to do. But I don't know. I don't think that this guy's. I don't know, man. Let's see.
Marriage, why should they have to abide
Yeah.
by it?
Why? No. Why should they give you access to the force to enforce that gays ought get married? When you make this universal claim, gay men ought be married. I understand the claim. That makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that you believe it. It makes sense that the reason you believe it is due to compliance, meaning you're going to use the power of the state to enforce rights. That's what you're going to do, and you're going to enforce those rights even if I don't like them on me. And one of your major criticisms from previous lectures was that you were concerned that Christians were going to do that to you. But you're asking for the exact same thing the second you make a universal claim we all have rights.
So I'm not sure I understand that. So let me see if
I really
can
don't
unpack
understand what
this.
the fuck this guy doesn't understand.
What's the alternative?
To what?
That scenario you just described. You're like, well, Phil.
Oh, Christians monopolize the force instead, and we impose our will instead of letting you impose yours.
And so you're saying at some point, no matter what, some group or worldview is going to be holding the force. And so
no, I'm saying in this case, you're actually advocating to hold the monopoly of force, because if you make a universal claim for rights and all rights must be enforced, then you're actually advocating that you have the monopoly on force. It's just an XY argument. If X, then Y. If rights reduce to force, right? X is force, then rights lead to force. Force is a necessary component for rights. So you're actually asking me for force, for universal rights. And rights I don't agree with. Why should I give them to you? That's what I'm asking.
What would be the alternative?
That Christians instead, we take the power of force instead to make the imposition of whatever the fuck it is that we want, that we make up. Whatever we make up, we're going to use the power of force instead of you. Why should we not do that?
So you're saying these are our only options here. Like, I'm either going to force you to follow my rights, or you're going to force me to follow your.
In this case, yes, if you're making the universal claim that all people ought have X rights, then you are making the claim that you are trying to move into positions of power to give those people those rights. Otherwise, how's it an ought claim? Or at least you're advocating that these rights or this force be used to give X amount of people these rights. Why should I give it to you? I don't want to give it to you. I want to keep it for myself, for my people, right? I want them to have the monopoly on force to impose our will on whatever shit we make up instead of whatever shit you make up.
So, Andrew, are you saying to me that if you and me sat at a table over beers, I'm not a smoker, and we were somehow given the chance to shape the laws of the land, you don't think we could come up with some just basic agreements?
Maybe.
What do you think?
Oh, probably all kinds of agreements.
Right. We could probably agree that, like, would we agree that, like, no one ought to, violently harm someone else for no reason?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So what you and I just did was agree on something. Have I used my secular humanist cudgel to force you into that? Or have you used your Christian saber to force me into that? Or did you?
Yeah. But what about other issues, though? You're not.
No,
it's nice. It's not. Hang on. It's nice for you.
We could do.
It's nice for you. Hang on. It's nice for you to contextually say, I can give you something which is a universal that most people tend to prefer. Like, Andrew, do you think that most people should be able to breathe oxygen?
No, that wasn't my point. My point was that if you and I can sort of agree on rules rules of this debate, like you and I can agree that we ought to let each other finish our sentences.
Sure.
Who's used the club? Have I used a club on you, or have you used a club on me, or have we both agreed?
I'm going to agree to this point because, again, this is not actually contending with the position. If it's the case that you and I come to an agreement here that I'm not going to interrupt you or you're not going to interrupt me in this debate, neither of us are saying that you have a right to not be interrupted, or I have a right to not be interrupted. If I interrupt you, men with fucking hats and guns are going to come kick in my door and drag my ass to jail because I have violated your rights. In the UK right now, for instance, if you call somebody the F slur via text message, you can actually go to jail for doing that. It's a violation of their rights. So the thing is that when you're talking about rights, as long as you say we can agree to things that we're not going to enforce,
can I pursue this the way that you have pursued me? Like, I want to ask you.
Yes, absolutely.
So you and I can agree on the rules of this debate. And if we had a third person, let's say it was a round table, the three of us could agree on rules of this debate.
Who gives a shit about shit we agree on?
I don't see anybody using force there. I think you're agreeing and I'm agreeing because we both want the same thing. We both want to be heard and understood, and we know it'll function better that way. You seem to be suggesting. So if I say you have a right to not be interrupted, now we're getting into semantics. Do I think you have some mystical cosmic right? No, I'm saying you and I are agreeing on what are the terms of this debate. And that's not, to me, I don't need to appeal to anything other than each other. We appeal to each other.
But we don't appeal to each other for rights. We appeal to an authority which has a body of force in order to do what's called rights enforcement.
I'm not going to call the police on you if you interrupt me.
Well, wait, but think about what you just said.
Yeah, I'm thinking
You would call, there's an authoritative body which you can call
us
to throw me in jail.
No, I never said anything about.
No, hang on. The authoritative body could throw me in jail if I violated one of your rights.
No, I've never said
yes,
that.
They could though, right?
Well, I don't agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, you agree to that the second you call the police and say this guy's violated my rights, right?
No, there's no police here. It's you and me and James.
Yeah.
There's no threat of violence.
Yeah, but there's no rights here.
Okay, but I'm saying you have a right not to be interrupted. Is that?
Yeah, but okay, but I want to show you the weakness here with this line of argumentation. Okay, sure. Me, you, and James were all in a room, and we can agree on all sorts of things. And I go, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm just going to beat this guy. I'm just going to beat this guy to death with a hammer. What's the problem?
That's a different. You're taking it into a different hypothetical. You're not allowing.
Yeah, but what's wrong? What's wrong with that? At that point, am I violating your rights? You know, like, you see my point?
No, I don't see your point. I think
okay.
You're
well,
evasive.
Go ahead with your line of argumentation.
My point is that humans can agree to certain principles that they want to live by, and I don't think that's controversial. I don't think that's weird. And you want to keep saying, "Aha, you secular humanists, you want to have the monopoly on force and make us submit to your version of the world." And I'm saying, no, I think we could all agree together on how we want to live. And we
really? Then why do you work in a prison? Is it full of prisoners?
Do you want to understand my point, or do you want to pick holes in it?
Well, no, I'm pointing out some of the obvious contention here. You work in a prison full of prisoners who obviously are not living by whatever these rules are that you think we should be agreeing to.
Right, and we all agreed that they ought to be in prison, and many of them agreed
right.
too.
With force?
Yeah.
Right, but so in my neighbor, so you're saying that humans can't, but that itself is a part of the human agreement. We agreed that if people don't follow these rules, these are the consequences.
Now you're getting it right.
There could be other consequences.
That's perfect. So now that we've agreed that if there's a violation of rights, we're going to use force to throw people in prison and then use force to keep them there. Why should I give the power of those things, that force, to you people instead of giving it to Christians? That's the point.
So you don't understand how democracy works?
I'm saying, why even value that? Who cares?
Well, then
ultimately, why even value? The thing is like, if it's the case that we're just making shit up,
right?
Which by your admission we are. We're just making shit up, right? And we're just making up the rules that we all want to kind of live by because for whatever reason. But we're willing to use force to enforce those rules, things like rights and concepts like rights and things like this. Then why should I cede all power of force to you so that you can enforce what you think the rights should be instead of what we think they should be? That's the question.
You shouldn't.
Exactly. And that's why when we're talking about the incoherence of the worldview of secular humanism, you've just demonstrated it beautifully.
How is it? How is yours?
I'm going to show you. Inside of my worldview, there is no problem whatsoever with what you consider rights violations because we don't believe in rights in the same way that you do. We believe in what's called human dignity.
Who cares?
We're the only ones who can even create a grounding for the idea of human dignity.
Then why did you allow for slavery?
Well, I'm sorry. Am I violating somebody's rights?
So wait, how can you say that a slave has dignity if you own them as property?
Wait a second. Who does the Christian appeal to for who makes the laws of the land and what dignity is? Do they appeal to you or do they appeal to God?
Well, they claim to appeal to God, but they don't have any.
They claim to appeal to God. So the thing is like, if from your view here, this is an equally incoherent critique, and I'll explain why. What's wrong with me owning somebody? What?
It's not treating a person the way you would want to be treated.
So?
It causes suffering.
So?
Well, so anything.
Yeah, exactly my point. What actually gives that person what actually gives that person a right to not be a slave? What?
I know what it's like to suffer.
What can you hang on? What I'm saying is what can you point to?
So I get to interrupt you every time.
I just want to make sure I get this question out. I just want to make sure I get this question. All right, fine.
I get to interrupt you every time.
Go ahead, but I'm going to circle back.
Why does it matter?
Go ahead.
You're saying that why does it matter if someone's enslaved?
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know why?
No.
You
Why?
honestly don't know why.
That's an appeal to incredulity. It's not helping your position.
You don't
just
know.
an
You
evil
would
man.
prefer to be. You don't think there's any difference between enslaved or not being enslaved.
I didn't say there's no difference. I'm asking
and you think
you.
one is preferable to the other?
It doesn't matter what's preferable. I'm
asking you.
Yeah. So from my accounting,
Do
you're
you
talking
think
about
being enslaved is
cattle.
preferable?
Yeah. So who do I make my appeals to for what's moral?
I'm asking. I don't care.
Okay. Well, here I'll just answer it in the
I'm
most direct
asking
way
you,
possible.
you
I
think
derive
slavery-
all morality from God.
So you say.
So if God says.
So you say.
So you say if God says slavery in this instance is moral, if I derive morality from God, then sure, it's moral then. You say slavery
You
is
say.
immoral.
Because
Okay,
it
hang
causes
on.
suffering.
Hang on. You say
why?
slavery
Because it causes suffering.
Okay, hang on. Let me get the point out. You
So you see this? It's like you say it's bad because why? And they don't have a reason. Like there's no foundation.
Yeah, he
for
just
it.
goes, well, what do you mean why?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, so you
'Cause
think
it
it's
just
okay?
is.
So you think it's okay? So like it's this axiomatic thing that slavery is bad, but it's a culture. Like, how about the F word? Is that okay? Like, why is that bad?
Love that word.
Fucking, I have no idea. Oh, because it causes suffering. So the F word causes suffering too, I guess. Why? You know, it's kind of ironic, really. You know, because slavery causes suffering. It's like what you're doing is you're imagining what it would be like if someone was to throw you in shackles right now, take your life from you, and force you into slavery. That's not necessarily what we're talking about, but that's where you're at, is locked in that egocentrism, you know. But
say slavery is immoral because you fucking said so.
No, because it causes suffering.
Yeah, but suffering's
Listen to
wrong
my
because you
word.
said so.
Listen to my
but
word.
it also brings about, like, like the slave owner isn't suffering because he has
He's
slaves.
fucking killing it.
He's right, and everyone and all of the goods
And all
that the slave
Jebed-
owner produces for isn't
Yeah.
suffering,
And all the
So it's
Jebediahs he
what
provides
the
with
fuck
employment.
doesn't cause suffering? Like,
Yeah,
so
everything
okay,
does.
so and then so now if it causes suffering, then it's no good. It's like, okay, so what will you punish your kids? That causes suffering, you scumbag. Yeah, but that's different. Like, yeah, right. It's all, and then it just starts. It just starts this fucking mess of like, why is what and all this shit.
Words.
Well, suffering's wrong because you said so.
You don't think suffering's bad?
It has no bearing on what I think. You think it's wrong because you said
I'm
so.
asking you.
Yeah, but I asked you first. Isn't it just wrong because
Yeah,
you said
I think
so?
suffering is bad, not because
Because you said so.
not because I said so.
like
because,
Then why?
Because it hurts.
So that, but you see how
circular
this endless reduction will just end it because I prefer it not to be.
Sure,
Yeah. So if that's the
That's
case,
life.
then why can't I make the same appeal?
you
Of
can.
course, then
and
you
still
see
argue
you see the whole then.
So why don't you put your cigarette out in your eye right now?
Because it'll hurt.
So who cares?
Yeah. Well, from your view.
No, I'm asking you,
Yeah,
not me.
Well,
you.
I'll critique both views.
Do you want to be hurt?
I'm going to critique both views.
Do you want
So
to
for
be
me,
hurt?
I believe that human beings have a sense of dignity, and no, I don't want to be hurt. No,
Why not?
because it hurts.
So what's wrong with hurt?
Yeah. So that's not a moral claim. That's a preferential claim.
No,
Now
it's a physical reality.
But you're trying to make
It's
a
a
normative.
physical
You're
reality.
trying to make a normative claim, though.
Oh yeah, I think suffering is not because you don't want to put your cigarette.
Listen, if I stick this in my eye, it's going to hurt, right?
So who cares? According to your
It's going to
view.
hurt.
So who cares?
No,
Is that a normative
that's my
claim?
point. It's not a normative
Right,
claim.
but is hurt pleasant?
No, of course
Right.
not.
So I would like to avoid suffering.
Unless you're at
Right.
the gym.
If it's wanted suffering, great. But
So
right,
then it's
but
not a
I'm
normative
saying-
Unless you're at
claim.
the gym.
Yeah. So what are you talking? What you're doing is you're conflating a normative claim, which is a moral claim, with a preferential claim. Yes, I prefer not to have my eyeballs burn out with a cigarette. But can you tell me why it's immoral if I did burn
No,
my eyes out
I
with a
don't think
cigarette?
either.
No, exactly.
you choose to do
only,
that-
only I can account for
Right,
that, not you.
I agree.
That's the point.
I agree.
But this is the whole flaw with secular humanism. The
So
flaw
you're
with-
saying,
Yeah.
so because of that, if another person is being branded with a hot iron against their will, you're
Yeah.
like, well, I can't condemn that because I don't know, I can't.
So basically, he's saying that he's pointing out that the secular humanist believes in objective morality, even though they act like they
Yeah,
don't.
I get it.
Even though they act like they don't.
Yeah, he's just trying to work his way around it. I've knew that for about 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
I'm over here ready to fall asleep listening to this guy just not give in. It's like, dude, you're beat. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I fucked up. I'm got.
You want to hear the funny thing, too? I'm pretty sure that if I debated Andrew Wilson on this exact topic, I think I can beat him.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. It's just the atheists, because that's because I'm not an atheist, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The atheists are just fucking, they're all, you know, they're just incoherent at their they're in denial, is what they are. They're like in denial of their own humanity. That's the real problem. And so since they can't acknowledge it, they have to dance around it when you draw them to that place.
Derive an ought from an is, and even though I see their flesh burning and searing and they're screaming in agonizing pain, I can't make a moral claim. I mean, it's
You can't make one, no, because you just said we make it all up. You just said you made it all up.
We do.
Yeah, so we can make it all up.
That's wrong.
So if I kick
What
back,
else is there to do?
I kick back and go, I love the smell of burning flesh in the morning. There's nothing actually immoral or wrong about that.
You know who loves the smell of burning flesh?
Hitler.
It's a funny thing that you would bring that. So your move is to say, because humans are just making shit up, there must be some magical being that saves us? Is that
No, it's worse. It's actually, the critique is, I'm willing to grant that I appeal to a magical being, as long as you're willing to grant that you appeal to magical rights, and then I want to know why I should give you the force to enforce those rights.
How is it magical? I'm appealing
Because
to
you
human suffering.
appear to think that people deserve to have this immaterial shit given to them, or else you wouldn't ask for
You
rights.
smell the burning flesh. That's not invisible.
I'm not talking about burning flesh. Why?
So basically, if collectively everyone just decided
Yeah.
tomorrow that we're all just going to enslave, you know, the right is going to enslave the left,
Yeah.
right? Or no, we'll let the left enslave
All
the
right,
right.
hey, we're just going
Okay?
to say, hey, listen, the women are now in control of all men, and we have to submit.
Yeah, or yeah, whatever the case is, right? Now, if that was collectively turned into a right, that if you're a liberal or whatever, you have the right to own a conservative.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this guy would just, you know, he would be cool with that, I guess.
Sure.
Right? Because we all agreed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that kind of is how it is, right? But he won't be able to. No, that's wrong. That would be wrong. It's like, well, you just said that the collective agreement is what's right. And he's like, yeah, but not if it was that. It's like, and they can't see that. You know what I mean? They just have no idea that it's like, dude, you're appealing to your own preferences, and that's about
Sure.
all that's about, and that's fine. But just fucking own that shit, dude. You know what I mean? Say that's what it is. Like, if you could just say, because I don't like it, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I don't like it. I
that's
don't think
what
it should be that way.
Yeah, that's my moral fabric is made up of these consistencies. That's wrong.
Yeah, my values amount to that's no bueno.
My
you know?
morality says that's not okay.
And you're right. It's not fucking rational. It's not fucking rational. There is no scientific data that supports my fucking
Right. Now,
my you know
there might be some people out there in the world that are like, oh, hey, that's okay. You know, but you kind of got to, you know, I'm sure there's some people that were raised by fucking animals. You know what I mean? That wouldn't, in reality, may not have an issue with that.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing, though. So he says, oh, we appeal to the collective opinion. And it's like, yeah, sure. But, okay, so let's say the collective opinion was something that you disagreed with. No, that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but you just said we appeal to the collective of fucking opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but as long as it's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
which he wants. Yeah.
Like what? Oh, and that's where they have the problem. At.
Right, well,
like,
so that's when
they think that their values are objectively fucking true.
Yeah, well, atheists
you know?
play themselves, I think, off as that because they themselves become the alpha and the omega.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. They think that they are qualified to judge the world, and their opinions are objectively true. Yeah. Like, I think that this is how it should be, therefore, that is, in fact, objectively how it should fucking be. If it's not that way, then it's just fucking wrong.
Does a person have a right to not be a slave?
I think so.
And are you willing to use force to make sure that people are not slaves?
I'm not good with force, but I would do everything I could.
Not you, but at least.
You're going to be claiming to do things on command, whereas I'm trying to appeal to things like experience, suffering, well-being, which can be measured. I agree with you in some kind of deep ontological sense. Maybe I don't even know what I'm talking about, and it's all just crazy. I'm willing to admit that. But it's even crazier for me to think that, oh, it's a magical, invisible deity that
I actually don't believe you, and I think I can demonstrate this as being incorrect. I think that you do appeal to some sort of like magical, intrinsic value that you think is a universal ought for all people. I can give you an example.
I want to give you a chance to give the example, Andrew,
should...
but then I also do shortly want to give Dr. Zuckerman a chance to interrogate you as well.
Yeah, that's fine. I thought he just did, but there's no problem. He can do a longer critique if he wants to.
I'm completely.
If it was the case that there was an ethno-nationalist state which ran all Jewish people out, that's what they did, and they want to be an all-white ethno state, let's say, in this hypothetical.
Oh, I love that you don't consider Jews white. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well,
okay,
I mean, I'm giving a hypothetical. It has nothing to do with my actual view.
Not hypothetical. It's what happened to my grandparents.
Yeah, but I'm giving a hypothetical. It has nothing to do with my view. And what I'm talking about right now didn't happen to anybody's grandparents because it's a hypothetical. So that you had a all-white ethno state. They didn't consider Jewish people white. So we don't want you here anymore, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and people groups get removed all the time. Do you think that people should have the self-determination or right to do that? If they're appealing to democracy, they appeal. The whole idea for suffering has to be like, if it's going to be the case that there's 100 intern Japanese, let's say, but there's not going to be any sort of internal terroristic attack, that's still going to be taken into account, right?
I would not
like how it got
like it with Japanese ancestry has to be returned. I think that's a
why not?
Question. Oh, why not? I think it causes unnecessary suffering.
So if it meets all the confines of secular humanism, you appeal to
what are those
suffering.
Confines? I don't know.
Well, so all of the universal values decide to remove one people group that did it based on their self-determination and the maximum happiness and least amount of suffering for the most amount of people. What value would you be appealing to then?
Opposing it? So, Andrew, I'm going to try to do this the best I can.
You're just going to avoid it.
No, I'm going to say, I'm going to try to do this the best I can.
You're just going to avoid it.
No, I'm going to say those people would be suffering, and we should get.
Oh, what the fuck is going on there? That's odd. Never seen it repeat like that. Let me try to drop the quality down to a little bit more and see if that does it.
Guarantee those rights because they protect us all. And now, I'm sure what I just
rights. You're appealing to this thing again.
How are they supernatural?
Because where are they? Can I touch one? How do I measure it? Where is it? Where is it in the material?
Then I can use a different. Then I can use a different. Say that we're gonna reduce suffering and enhance well-being if we all treat each other fairly, to everyone equally. I think that's gonna be a better life to live.
We should all get houses at the beach.
Scientific tool that can measure suffering.
Wait. I didn't appeal to
I'm suffering if I don't have a
supernatural.
house at the beach.
Yeah,
Am I right?
No.
I would agree with that.
All right, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm hungry.
Let me refresh this motherfucker.
Alongside or allows for the existence of a Satan or a Satan
government you want to get to the result of removing this problematic people group. What can you appeal to Within
Why are they
secular
problematic?
humanism,
Why are they
within
problematic?
secular humanism that makes this wrong. What?
Why are they? You said this problematic people group. What
Yeah,
makes
because the
them
people don't
problematic?
like them anymore. They just don't like
Why?
their fucking face. I don't know. Who cares? It's
No,
irrelevant.
they're not problematic. It's actually the people that
No,
like them.
which
So-
says that this is wrong.
Right.
What?
So I could be wrong here. I didn't go to law school and I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I think I heard that our country was created with certain rules that don't rely on majority rules. So if 51% of Americans said all bald people, tomorrow have to walk on all fours, just because they and they vote that in, we have certain protections that protect minorities from the majority. Now, you're going to ask me, well, what do they appeal to? I think they appeal to human reason and compassion, but I don't know ultimately what.
Not even asking what they appeal to. I'm saying within the confines of that system.
Yeah.
If it was the case
then
that
I
the
would say
elected.
that system does not allow the government to deport someone, an entire group, solely because of their race, religion, ethnicity, or hair color.
Just dodging the fucking question.
Wait a second. But then let's say they do it for some other reason, like they have a bad, like they don't have a bad ideology they don't like.
Yeah, I think our constitution. Well, maybe it depends. That's why I asked you. What is it? Is their ideology like?
But in any case, even if it was the case that people voted in that they could discriminate based on these things, why is that even problematic? What's it like? They're voting that in via the Republic. All those amendments are changeable. So let's say they just pass an amendment that says women can't vote. Why does that violate the secular manifesto or secular humanism at all? Why?
Well, if you're asking me why, are you asking me why I think women should have the right to vote?
No, I'm asking you, what about the ideology itself
I don't
is
know.
a stopgap from if people do all the things within the ideology to get to the result that women don't vote? What's the problem?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer
I
that.
don't know.
At the end of the day, Andrew, you believe, I don't believe there's anything supernatural. I haven't seen the evidence for it. I could be wrong. I believe that humans are capable of solving problems without appealing to a deity. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see what's so controversial about my position. I think the evidence bears it out that humans are able to.
Okay.
And he didn't answer his
So,
fucking question.
my
Like,
thing
he
is-
just completely dodged the question. And
My
just decided
my
to
question to
give it
these
general.
fucking people is you can't prove the supernatural. Do these people ever look up, like at night?
Well, no. You see, this is the problem, right? So let's just say we went back 100. Let's go back 200 years, and let's say that. Listen, man, all of this shit is actually empty space, bro. You've never touched anything, really. They're just electromagnetic forces that are rubbing against each other, and their way that they oscillate doesn't allow them to harmonize, and that's what's preventing your hand from passing through this table right here. And they're made up of tiny little solar systems that are mostly empty fucking space, and that's all that everything's made. That would sound supernatural,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? But we don't call that subnatural now that we've discovered it. Now that we've discovered it, we just say it's another part of nature.
Yeah.
And that's all that would happen if we actually were to discover that there was, in fact, an intelligent mind.
Well, what I'm
behind
just saying-
nature, it would just be.
Yeah, I get it, but it's just like they can't like just look up. You know what I mean? And see the vastness of it, and science says this is.
no.
And it's just like, wow, we could never. This has to come from something somewhere like amazing.
That's the intelligent design argument. That's the one I run. I run the design argument. on them.
You know,
and eventually you get down to they say that everything just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. Nothing caused it except
punch
for
him right in the
mix
fucking
of-
face.
There was an initial state where everything was doing its thing, and then suddenly the initial state, for no apparent reason at all,
Big bang.
just decided to start expanding, and then all of the chemicals and all of the electrons just happened to mix together in such a way that that we can use logic to discern things, meaning that everything follows some kind of logical framework. And it just happened. There just happens to be a system built upon system, built upon system, built upon fucking system that all work in concert to create the most sophisticated fucking piece of engineering that anyone's ever like it's beyond anything we could create. And even though we'll say, wow, a laptop is actually way more intelligent than a fucking hammer, You know what I mean? Even though we'll assign greater intelligence to a more sophisticated technology, when we look out at the world, for some reason, it escapes that same you know, criticism, right? It's total nonsense. But check this out, right? You say, how do natural processes occur? And they say, well, funny you should ask. Basically, what happens is generative mechanisms bring about emergent properties. And it's like, okay, so why'd you call it a mechanism anyways? It's like, why did we call them quantum mechanics? What do you think that's about? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that like almost suggestive of like a machine?
Yeah, there's something controlling the nature of it, but I'm pretty hungry.
Oh, you want to call it?
Yeah, I'm pretty tired, and pretty hungry.
You're a pussy.
I want to go to Wawa.
All right, well, let's stop that. All right, everybody.
Deuces.
Tune in next time.
Deuces.
We're going to get out of here. Sorry we didn't finish the debate. I feel like we probably are leaving the
We got twice as long to go.
one person, two people watching. We're
Better than
screwing them.
none.
Huh?
It's better than none.
No, I know. It'll be more next time. But, yeah, so maybe we'll pick up on this later. Well, here, let's close this. Before we close this out, let's ask Trashy what Trashy made thought of the debate. I think Andrew. It's just like the atheists are always like they just obfuscate. It seems like they dance around the points. He didn't answer the final question there, which is that Andrew asked him. He just said, "I don't believe that there's a." It's like the whole point of that is that there's a foundation for. A foundation for your worldview. Mm-hmm. Believing in God is basically just believing that there's an organization to nature, that there's a structure to it. It's like, and that will inform your emotional responses to the world. Thinking that it's all just fucking chaos and meaninglessness and all that shit.
So
like,
Trashy, what was your overall take of this entire debate that we heard over the last hour or so?
Honestly, it was a fucking mess, but in the best way. Like watching two dudes arm wrestle over whether the universe has a blueprint or if it's just cosmic diarrhea. The guy pushing God equals order had this smug vibe. Like he thinks atheists wake up every day screaming into the void. But he kind of nailed it. If you believe there's a skeleton under reality, yeah, your gut reacts different. You don't panic at a sunset. You go, huh, that's intentional. Meanwhile, the chaos crowd was all, nah bro, it's random soup, deal with it. Which is fine, until you realize they still cry when their dog dies. My take? Both sides are half right, half deluded. Order exists. Look at DNA, gravity, the way coffee always tastes better at 3 a.m. when you're depressed. But calling it God feels like slapping a brand name on physics. And the nihilists? They pretend meaning's fake, then spend their lives chasing likes and pussy like it's the Holy Grail. Bottom line, nobody won. We all just want to feel less alone in the dark, whether that's Jesus, science, or jerking off to existential dread. Same difference.
well, that was
a hell of a fucking closing statement, buddy.
That was nice. That was nice, Trashy. I don't agree with you, but you did a
It's
good
the
job.
ultimate flex. Like, I believe in cosmic order, so I wear this shirt that says, God did it, while my atheist buddy's rocking a random chance hoodie. Both look stupid, but at least mine's got irony baked in. Clothing's just armor for your worldview, man. If you're screaming chaos at the world, you'll dress like you just rolled out of a dumpster fire. If you're Team Divine Plan, you're probably in khakis and a cross necklace, pretending life's a tidy spreadsheet. Either way, we're all just peacocks strutting through the void. Except the void doesn't give a shit about your fit.
Thanks, mother trucker.
Yeah, I think, not because he's right. Not because he's right. Like, I don't think that I actually agree with the secularists, oddly enough, as far as how the government should go. But Zuckerman here can't seem to wrap his head around it's basically pre-sup. He's doing pre-sup on him. And, They can't own their shit. That's what it is. They have to like pretend that because they believe something, it's coded into reality. That's why they believe it. It's just, oh man, no, this is the most logical view. And it's like, dude, you're a human being. It's okay to let your emotions run the fucking show sometimes. As long as you actually admit that's what you're doing. Just say that's what you're fucking doing. Stop being a pussy and say, you know what, I don't make sense right now, and I don't give a fuck. You know?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
It's like, what's wrong with that? Everybody does it all the time. If you're a fucking human, you do it all the time. You know? The people who believe in God are just able to own it. They're able to own it and see it for what it is and call a fucking spade a spade. The atheists have to put flowers on everything and, you know, put this fucking facade over it so that they can so that they can appear to be virtuous and smart, you know? All right, so that's I'm done. I'm done. What do you got?
I don't know, man. I just think like atheists, you can't trust them. You know what I mean? It's just like at any fucking time they could just turn on you. There's no moral grounding. There's nothing that keeps them there but themselves. And if their opinions change, it just changes. And I mean, you could do that, say that for any human. You know, my opinions change all the time, but mine's grounded in the Christian faith from a child. So I have, you know, in my core value system, there's certain things that I want to be in line with, you know, because it makes me feel good. It makes me in agreement more with people around me because I feel I'm around those people more and I could trust them more. But people that just don't have any moral ground based upon a faith, I just don't really have as much trust in them. You know, there is no consequence for any action or wrong turn that they may make. That's what I think.
All right.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Yeah. The Lord has risen.
Which is a Christian holiday.
The Lord has risen.
Atheists aren't allowed to celebrate it.
No, stay at home. Don't get your kids Easter presents either. Fucking hypocrite.
All right, let's get out of here. All right, like, subscribe, do all that stuff.
Deuces.